Hey, welcome to On the Rocks. I'm Jamie Wilson, and tonight's going to be a fantastic show. And I'd like to say thank you for tuning in, everybody. And hey, it's Ash Wednesday, so you know what that means. Holy Week is right around the corner. Summer is coming, even though it's a little cold here in Manila. And from what I hear down south, it's either really hot or really raining. So you guys gotta make sure you take your vitamins and you stay healthy because we're still in the midst of a pandemic. So we got to make sure that we don't get sick. We got to make sure we stay healthy, we can stay fit, we stay strong. And of course, you know, it goes without saying that alcohol kills germs. So that's why I end up drinking a lot of alcohol on Wednesdays. Thank you to our friends from Liquor.PH. Now, keeping me company tonight, we have got Roku Craft Gin. Now, this is an amazing gin. I am not a gin drinker by any stretch of the imagination, but I'm really enjoying this. So tonight I'm taking little shots because if you taste a new liquor, I don't think that you should be mixing it in a sense. So I'm not going to be making myself gin and tonics tonight. I'm going to be taking little sips from this wonderful craft gin. It's got notes of cherry blossom, green tea, citron. It's a little spicy, even with I think it might be pepper. So Roku Gin is from Suntory, and it's a craft gin coming out of Osaka. So you can get two bottles for only 2,925 pesos when you use the promo code Gin25 off, all caps, Gin25 off from our friends from Liquor.PH. So cheers to you guys. Oh yeah. All right, so we've got our friends from Buenos Dias, Panaderia as well, with another fabulous box of Milo donuts. Thank you so much. I'm completely in love with them. I don't know what it is about donuts that meat beats the buns. But Milo donuts are probably the greatest inventions in sliced bread, and it's really so much happiness in an even better package. So thank you so much, Buenos Dias, Panaderia. Thank you also to Misty Mountain Cafe, who is one of the best sources of premium blend coffees in the metro. I particularly love their Cordillera Gold and their hazelnut blends. You can get them either in whole beans or already ground up. And really, if you want to kickstart your heart, Misty Mountain Cafe is the way to do it. Now, ladies and gentlemen, tonight we have an exciting show, and we're going to start off the night by talking to a band from Cagayan de Oro with an awesome sound. They're mixing their genres and influences to create their own unique sonic signature. They've got two singles out right now, and they are an offshore music artist. Ladies and gentlemen, let's please welcome Sulo.
Hello.
Hey guys, how are you guys doing?
Good evening.
Okay, thank you for taking the time here. How are you guys doing during the pandemic, guys? Kamusta
Yeah,
kayo dyan?
we are trying to stay healthy, but also, syempre, trying to make the most of the time, trying to write as many songs as we can, as much as possible.
Try to enjoy the little things also.
Yeah.
Okay, why don't you guys introduce yourselves so we know your actual names and I don't keep on calling you like Sulo 1, Sulo 2, Sulo 3.
So, my name's Miguel. I play the guitar on First Sulo and write some of the songs.
Okay.
My name is Miggy, Migs, Mix 2, and I kumakanta ako, vocalist sa band.
All right. Cool.
Luis, kabaron songwriter.
And rapper.
And
Rapper na lang.
And rapper.
all right. Yeah.
A little shy, but he's a rapper. I'm John. I'm the youngest in the group, and I do more of the sound engineering parts and editing the audio, and I produce actually with Kuya Miguel. So since Luis and Miggy do more of the lyrical content, the two of us do more on the like sonic side of the music.
So you're on the music production side.
Yeah.
Okay, guys. So how did you guys get together? Because musical influences. Let's talk about your musical influences first. What are your common musical influences um, that you guys basically grew up listening to?
Oh yeah.
Not to be sip sip or anything, but I think the the biggest influence that we all have in common are the Eraser Hands, particularly Sir Ellie. We listen to his music a lot, quite a bit. I think that's one of the things that we found in common in the beginning. Then, like outside of OPM, there's just so much. I think there's so many variations that each one of us have. Parang one is really into hip hop, the other one is really into jazz, and the other one is really into
Beatles.
funk, Beatles, stuff like that.
Well, I think that's what's interesting with your music because I hear a lot in the two singles that you released. I hear a lot of different genres going on. In terms of your influences in these two singles, right? Can you walk me through what your writing or recording process is?
Uh,
Sa writing process po, depende sa ano eh, depende sa ano yung masuna kasi usually po, yung melody talaga yung una namin ng the way kami mag-construct ng ano po, ng kanta.
I think we base on the emotion first, and then we go through the general story that we want to tell. And then from there, parang based on the character that we want to portray, then we work on the music after. Pero I think it's mostly storytelling. I think that's the direction we usually end up taking sa music.
And talk about storytelling because your first single, Kawalan. Well, okay, Ellie is saying thanks, guys. I listen to your music a lot too.
thank you.
So,
Yeah.
guys, cheers to that. If anybody is
Cheers to
listening to
that.
music,
Cheers. Tubig
okay.
ulit
So
ako.
going back to storytelling, no, because I think that's a very important factor that a lot of musicians don't talaga particularly go for. Even with all your influences in terms of whether it's hip hop or rap or Beatles or or the Eraserheads, storytelling is such an important factor considering you're musicians, right? So let's talk about your first single, Kawalan. I love this song because it's so dark, and you're right. It tells you a really good story in terms of not just the lyrics, not just the singing, of course, not just with the vocals, but also with the whole feel. Yung unang pasok pa lang puts you already in a mood. So how did the song Kawalan come about?
So kami ni Miggy,
They're
pandemic
friends.
mo na to, di ba?
Yeah.
Tapos, so ano po yun,
Really.
sa pandemic po yun, tapos meron pong,
Na-board kami.
parang, parang ano, tapos may narinig kami na may
Balita.
nag-commit na suicide.
Dito lang sa CDO.
Okay.
Tapos, doon, nagsimula yung songwriting. Nagsulat kami ni Luis din. Send namin ka, Kuya Migs. Di pa kami buo nun as a band. So, doon na nagsimula lahat. Sa Kawalan na song.
Okay, so you guys have not been together. You guys got together during the pandemic. So you wrote this and you recorded this during the pandemic, but you have not played live
Not yet, no.
in front of people at least because I've seen some videos, pero iba yung video eh.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
haven't played live.
We've
So
played twice, pero I wouldn't really count it as live.
kasi walang audience.
Wala.
Yeah, konti lang.
Okay. So when you were writing Kawalan, and when you emailed it to each other and the song started taking a life of its own, no? How did you guys or when did you guys think that you had a good song on your hands? Because I'm telling you, it's a good song. It's a
Thank you.
really good song.
Thank you.
Kailan nyo na
Well,
na-realize na basically, uy, pwede tayong mag-record. Pwede tayong gumawa ng banda. When did that happen?
Well, I guess kasi before the pandemic, we would see each other during open mic nights.
Okay.
Kasi me and my wife, we would host open mic nights. I think we almost did it for like a year every week.
Okay.
And we met, we would, just for the love of music, parang have it as a stage for starting out songwriters or musicians to have a place to parang share their passion. And then that's how we met, the four of us. Well, John's my brother. Um, and then, so during when the, like parang in March when the lockdown started, then so syempre we had to stop the open mic event. And then, pero I already knew that these two guys were like the two of the best songwriters that had gone through our open mics in the past year. And then around April, parang end of April, Louis sent me a parang phone recording lang na with the verse and the chorus and everything. And when as soon as I heard it, because I'm also very I don't like I prefer to do songs that are parang a little on the opposite side of happy in
Okay.
a way. Um, so as soon as I heard it, I was like, wow, this is an amazing song. We should do something about it. Especially now that so much free time, we're just spending the whole day basically watching Netflix and all that. So we decided, I told the boys na, sige, let's start trying to spend time working on the song. And uh, before we knew it, we finished the whole thing. I guess that's one of the perks of being stuck at home. Having all that having all that free time to do whatever you feel like doing. So yeah, I think we finished producing the song in a couple of weeks, and then we went straight to shooting the music video for it. Kasi yun nga, we didn't have anything else to do it.
Yeah.
So, and it's such a powerful message. I think I really love
Yes.
the the message of the song.
It's a very powerful message, very relevant, and
Yeah.
very important also to hear music of that, of that social relevance coming out also. So when you created Kawalan and you knew you had something special, it took you a couple of weeks to record it. You shot the music video. What made you think of looking for a label? Uh-oh. Did they freeze? Ayun. Okay. They're back.
Look us to do next.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys back? Yeah, you guys are back.
Okay.
Hello.
Alright.
There we
Yeah.
go. Hi. Okay. So what made you think of, hey, we should send this out? And what made you think of Offshore?
Uh, well, I'm answering all the questions
Yeah.
here. But,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think
Give it to somebody else. Do you guys
I
ever
think
get
after
confused between MiG 1 and MiG 2?
I
I get
na this hang siya.
Uh-oh.
Disconnect your phone.
Okay,
Hello?
I think
Hello?
we're having, there we go. Yeah, can you hear me?
Okay, yeah.
There you
Um,
go.
sige. Alright, okay. So I mean, from after we finished Kawalan, I think we finished the music video late or mid June or early June,
Mhm.
and around that time, like Kuya Miguel was saying, we weren't really sure what to do next, and really enjoyed the song and really enjoyed making it. But, we didn't have like a complete idea of what to do next because we had so many ideas for songs, but we didn't have whether we should make an album or make more singles or whether we should focus on Kawalan. And basically, our the director for our music video, si Kuya Dan,
Kuya Dan.
yeah, shout out to Kuya Dan. He's as much part of the band as the rest of us, I would say. And he told us about Offshore. He told us that Ellie was the one Ellie and Ma'am Audrey are the ones who were running it, and when he referred them to us, we decided that we should send them our songs, and Kawalan was one of them, and we sent them a few other demos, and uh, well, we were after about a month after we emailed it to them, they replied to us and told us that they're interested in what we had, or 2 months, 2 months after, yeah, and after that, basically they gave us some advice, and we put out Sigua, and well, here we are. We're going to make an album now, so it's definitely I think the right decision for us to have made.
Yeah, well, on the strength of Kawalan alone, and then following it up with a song like Sigwa, it. I love the whole idea that you're showing kasi your range from Kawalan to Sigwa. They're two very different songs, and it shows your range. So I'm really excited to, at least. Well, I'm excited to know the fact that you guys are working on a full length album, um, and you have more songs in the works. How did it feel when Offshore got in touch with you and they said, "Hey, we want you on a roster"? Anong ginawa nyo?
Thanks.
We celebrated for a month.
Yeah.
A whole month.
Yeah, basically. And then we're like, kasi for us, there's no other bands that from Cagayan de Oro or uh, in our area that parang have the opportunity to get to know people in the industry from Manila and like offshore of all labels pa. So it's just a huge milestone for us. Um, like really, like if you say reach for the stars, that's really like that's how we felt about it. Um, and we were so enthused by being able to get on the offshore wagon that the month later we decided to go on a trip on a 7-day trip, and that's where we basically wrote and recorded the second single, yung Sigua.
Mhm.
Like just from the high of having that accomplishment under our belt, it's amazing.
And so I can't think of a better way to spend the pandemic. I mean, since you're all locked down anyway, you might as well get creative. You created one song, and this one song is opening doors for you. And I really do hope doors continue to open for you because we need music like yours, most definitely.
Thank
And
you.
when you guys when the restrictions get lifted here, and all over the Philippines, when you guys start playing live, that's gonna be another challenge. How are you going to recreate this sound live? Have you had any ideas on how you're gonna do this live?
Hmm.
Um,
Like,
that's still in the works.
Yeah.
Uh, that's actually one of the like that's an example of how much we appreciate like offshore being able to give us advice, because that's one of the big questions that we had. Now, when we're writing music, should we think about how we're gonna play it live, or should we just uh,
stay in the
have
studio.
the freedom to just try to explore whatever sounds we can come up with? And so, even just as simple as that question may seem, it's such a big factor that parang that's where offshore can really come in. That's where they came in and really helped us out with stuff like that.
So what advice did they give you in regards to that one question? Do you record and think about how you're gonna play it live, or just experiment in the studio? What was their answer?
I'm glad you asked, because I vividly remember the reply, because it's such a profound answer that Sir Ellie gave. He said, na, preferably, you should be able to play it live, pero when you're recording the music, you should serve the song. That's what he said. And like when he replied that, I was like, mind blown. Like, oh my god, this guy is a guru.
Well, he's had a lot of experience. I mean, can you
Yeah.
imagine?
Yeah.
I mean, can you imagine? That's always a dilemma of artists that I speak to when they go into the studio. There is, there are two schools of thought. There's a practical artist who said, no, I want to be able to record this and play it live without sacrificing any of the sounds. So basically they enter the studio and record songs with that in mind. Then you have other bands who will use the technical freedom they have in the studio to create things, and like Ellie said, serve the song. If you want to do an outer space, out of this world song, record that first and then figure out how to do it live,
Yeah.
Yes.
because they're two separate things. A live gig versus an album. um you know Ellie said, I never said that, local
I have
lang.
the screenshot. I have the screenshot of that. Proof. May resibo ako dyan.
Oh, my
Resibo.
screenshot daw, my screenshot. But yeah, those are the two schools of thought, and I guess there's a balance that has to be achieved in that sense, between recording your music and thinking about how to play it live. And thankfully, not only did Ellie give you that advice, but also you don't have to worry about playing it live for a while. You have time. You have
Yeah.
time to figure that out. Whether you want to get a full band, or do you want to keep it like electronic with a guitar? You know what I mean? Basically two laptops, a drum machine, playback. I mean, there's so many options now that you can actually bring the technical aspect of it and still recreate it live. But I can't wait to hear you guys live in front of a crowd playing
Cannot
your
wait.
songs. I can't wait to hear the other songs that you have. So when is your
Excited
target
din kami.
release? When is your target release for your for your full length album?
Well, we're trying to get it out before the mid year, I think. Pero on one hand, parang this is the first time we're ever doing a full body of work. So there's that push and pull of like uh, how much how much do we want to scrutinize each detail versus uh, just being forgiving enough to just go with the flow and allow the process to
Yeah.
take on. But we're really excited. Actually, the album that we're writing, I think, is something that we've been doing a lot. As a matter of fact, that's parang our full-time job now.
Yeah.
If ever since we signed on with Offshore, we parang had the boldness to say now, well, you know what, like if someone like Offshore believes in us, then maybe we ought to believe in ourselves. So we put in, I mean, not in an irresponsible way, pero we parang put a lot on put a lot of emphasis on putting music as a priority for ourselves. Um, and right now we meet practically every day to brainstorm about the album or to work on our technical live parts, or to just listen to music or stuff like that. So that's what we've been up to the last month or so. And
Well, offshore music is saying go with the flow, guys. Go with the flow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes, like with a lot of artists, who go into the studio, they, whether it be polished songs, created songs or not, if you have the luxury of time, that hindi pumapatak yung oras na, hoy, kailangan nyo matapos ngayon. You have all that freedom to explore what your process is, because you're a fresh band. You guys just got together. You don't know what your process is yet when you go in.
yeah,
So I think that's really exciting to figure out your process, not only in the creation of your songs, but also how you're going to work together. Is there any friction? Who's in charge when you guys record? See, at least it's unanimous, Migs.
Yeah.
yeah.
I'll agree on that.
These are all
Well,
my
that's
younger
Yeah.
brothers.
so that's good. At least, at least you're in charge. This is one clear person in charge. But yeah, I agree with offshore music. Go with the flow and explore as much as you can. And whatever comes out, just what Ellie said really rings true. Serve the song. What story do you want to tell? What do you want to say with this song? What emotion do you want the song to carry through to us, the listeners? I think that's the most important, thing, let that be your guiding light in that sense.
Kasi parang siguro like every other week maybe we'll get in touch with Offshore because we have this like dilemma of like, oh, this week we don't feel like we're getting anywhere. The next week or the next day we'll be like, oh yeah, this is the most amazing song we've ever made. Like, uh, and then so it's nice to have Offshore to kind of like keep us level-headed in that sense. Na parang, kasi syempre we also really trust their judgment and their experience. So like,
Well,
it's,
this is a very exciting time for you guys. I'm really excited for you guys to, hear more music from you. But if you can say in one sentence what the sound of Sulo is, what would that be?
Hmm.
One
Eh,
hmm.
sentence. One sentence. One sentence.
ah,
Murag bugs, man. Murag skittles pa eh, nagkakulo.
Well, what's the sound? I didn't. We didn't hear that. Say it again. Say it again.
Parang ano po, skittles po.
Skittles.
Maraming kulay.
Parang ano po.
Maraming kulay at nakaka-addict.
Parang rainbow.
I think maybe like
Bugging.
I think I would say it is a kind of, I guess, a rainbow, but in the sense that or not a rainbow, but more like a mirror, because we try to reflect everything that we see that's going on, and try to reflect everything that we're able to take in and put it out through our own way. So like they were saying with Kawalan, they were inspired because of someone who committed suicide here um, in our city, and we're trying to show the rest of show the rest of the world how we took that person's uh, decision, and how, like, for this anak ng bayan is the name of our upcoming album, and
Okay.
for this we're also going to try to show our thoughts on, I don't know if we're supposed to say what the album's about, but usually, yeah.
Very self-explanatory.
Right. Oh yeah, I guess. But it the idea is that we show our, I think the sound is reflective. Is what
Nice.
I would consider it.
All right. That sounds awesome. That your sound is reflective. Sounds a lot better than Skittles.
Yeah.
Skittles.
What's your sound like, Skittles? Huh? What does that mean? But yeah, reflect. You hold up a mirror to society, and what would that emotion be in terms of songs? Fantastic. All right, so guys, thank you so much for making the time to appear in the show. Ladies and gentlemen, you gotta check out their two singles. They're on all the digital streaming platforms now, Kawalan and Sigwa. And stay tuned to Offshore Music for more updates on when their full length album Anak ng Bayan is gonna be released. Very, very, very exciting things coming from this hot new band. Ladies and gentlemen, Sulo. Thank you guys. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers.
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 Cheers. Cheers. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, that's very exciting because like I've been saying this from the beginning of the pandemic that there are silver linings during this lockdown, during this pandemic that have forced us to reevaluate and reassess not only how we do business but also the people that we are. And these four kids from Cagayan de Oro got together and created an amazing song, a song of such depth, and I personally, it's on my permanent playlist because it's a great dark song. And if you can actually achieve or create a work of art in that sense amidst all this pandemic insanity, then you're using your time wisely. And I think these kids are using their time wisely. And I am expecting great things from these guys. And it's an amazing thing that new music is such a such an important thing during this pandemic when we've all been locked up because music keeps us sane, and somehow Sulo has found their sanity, and they are now exploring the process of their creativity. And we're going to get a full length album really soon. So thank you so much, Sulo. You are a beacon of hope for a lot of budding young artists out there who want to release their songs and get their songs heard. So, all right, for our next guest, um, I have known this wonderful man for many years. He has been in the industry for many, many years. He's the first person to really earn or even deserve the title of celebrity photographer or photographer to the stars. His creative concepts have elevated the creative standards in photography, capturing the perfect moment with his critical eye. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome my dear friend, Raymond Isaac.
Hi guys, hi Jamie. Good
Hi, Raymond.
evening.
How are you?
You're so sober. Parang gusto ko, my energy is so high. I'm like, I should not contradict his, nice, mellow mood here. But I
No,
can't. I'm
let's do it,
sorry. I'm
man. Let's do
hyper.
it. Let's do it. Let's do it.
Wait, but before, good evening guys. Good evening to listeners. I've been watching since kanina pa. And thank you for, inviting me over. But I'd like to thank you more for this special
Yes.
gift. This is my poison, so thank you again.
This
Roku
is this is
Roku.
Yeah, this is fantastic. I'm not a gin drinker, but honestly, I'm actually enjoying this,
Did you
but I'm casually sipping it.
first time for you?
Yeah, it's the first time I've tasted
Yeah.
it.
There's more of these. So yun, we'll discover it together. I'll introduce you to other things also. Kaya lang
Hala.
nga,
So well,
gin
thank
before
you.
was gin
Oh,
bulag lang. Now it's like all this infused flavor. So
my
thank you.
craft gin na. So thank you, Liquor.PH, for
Liquor.PH. I
our
will be.
Roku.
I will call you soon. So
There you go. So Raymond, how have you been during this pandemic?
good, good. As bad as it sounds to some people, but actually, this pandemic is such a, I how do I put it nicely? It's an opportunity that is sometimes we look at the bad side, but there's so many good things that have happened that people don't realize that it presented itself. So,
Yeah.
yun, like I suddenly had a show because of the pandemic.
Yeah.
I did have like 2 3 different live stream shows, and then the purpose of which now was not to hear me talk more but to help to help alleviate anxiety to the other people, because I was prepared for this way back December before they declared. Wait, I saw you moving backwards. It reminded me of something. Anyway, to alleviate some anxiety from most of my friends, so that's why I started, talking too much on air, and apparently it worked. So I've helped people through the months of being in lockdown and whatever. So
So wait, so
yun.
Raymond, you said you were prepared for this since December pa
Yeah, kasi
of 2019.
Yeah, 2019, because I was already wearing a mask November 2019, and people were looking at me strange. I said, hindi niyo ba nababalitaan what's happening in Vietnam and Cambodia? There's a virus. Because I've gone through SARS. I was working back and forth, flying to New York and the Philippines in the midst of a SARS outbreak. So I knew that I needed to listen to all these things because of my work, because nga I'm involved in not only locally but also in the global market. So, and when I felt that nobody was listening to the signs, sabi ko, what's wrong with, never mind, let's not go there. That's a longer story to start with. So yun. So people, I was like, I felt like Noah in Noah's Ark. So there's a flood coming. Ooh, ikaw talaga, praning ka lang eh. Ano ba drugs mo? Ganun. Hindi ho drugs to. Tawag dito drama queen kasi from the theater. You're from the theater. You know how
Yes, we
everybody
are
in the
all
theater.
drama queens.
We're all drama queens in different, yun ang nakakatakot, ano? Maton na drama queen, bading na drama queen. Teka muna, I feel so out of place, but very privileged to be on the Rocks, your show, which is from Onshore Music. I thought for a minute that you were going to invite me to be an artist. Dear Mr. Eli Buendia, I can sing also. Meron, I came from the theater. I can save my life by actually singing. But medyo hoarse ng konti ngayon. So, pwede ako mga slow rock or ano. Kung pwede.
Yun.
I've worked
No,
with
well,
Ellie also before kasi. That's why.
well, I was very curious because like when we started the show on the Rocks, and you were one of my inspirations to start going online and doing my own talk shows
What?
because you pivoted so fast
Oh,
and you had, like you were saying, you had three streams going on at the same
yeah,
time. You
I
had
did.
we actually spoke during the pandemic, and you were telling me parang, oh my god, we can do parang Night Stalker kind of phone in radio
Yeah,
dramas over
you were
the
perfect for
internet.
that kind of a concept. Nga pala, yeah, we were making kwento. Oo nga.
Yeah, we were making Cuento early in the pandemic, but you pivoted so fast, and you actually inspired me. So you and James Deacon inspired me to actually, have the courage to go online and say what I gotta say, and start interviewing people. Now, the reason why we brought you on, I thought of bringing you on because I've been in your shoots, so many times.
Correct.
And I noticed that whenever you shoot, as soon as you come down and everybody's getting ready, people are setting up, you put on music.
Correct. That
And
is essential for me.
yes, so music is so essential, and this is essentially a show about our
About
love for
music.
music. You
Yeah.
don't have to be a musician. You don't have to be a recording artist. If you love music and
But
it
I want to be a
contributes to your
recording
art.
artist.
Oh,
Maraming
Ellie.
naging recording artist na hindi naman marunong kumanta, kumita. I mean, why can't I, one fluke, one mutation?
Let's do a single together, Raymond. What would that be?
Mga ruko-ruko na nagjijin, yon. The first single, sing po kami, wala kami sa tono, blah, blah, blah. Alam mo, walang mistake yon. Siguradong lahat tayo, sabi ng tao, oo nga, lasing sila, okay lang na out of tune. Anyway,
Oh, take one yun. Take one.
take one na yun, okay na yun. Parang,
Oo.
Dean Martin, parating lasing pag sila. Anyway,
Yes, when he's recording.
when he's recording.
Okay, so
Yeah,
Raymond, I
well,
wanna I wanna ask you. So, before we go into your creative process and using music for your photography, just to get a background, what did you grow up listening to?
oh, I'm carbon dating myself. I listen to almost everything. Ganun talaga, kala mo dinosaur, no? Kasi nga, when people introduce me, the legendary, the one and only, sabi pa, ano ba, pinapatandaan nyo ako? I'm trying to be relevant and young, which I'm trying so hard. I listen to everything except for heavy metal, which I didn't agree with, but almost everything and anything. So I can deal with heavy metal siguro a little bit, but not too long. But at the end of the day, I'm an 80s child, but a closeted disco diva by heart. So yun. If you want to
Yes.
know how it is, so there.
I remember our photo shoots for especially for Saturday Night Fever, for I mean, you'd always come down, and the first thing you do is you would play
Is
music.
music.
And
Yeah,
that just sets the mood. Eh.
yeah, I do set the mood. But people think when I have playlists, they think it's for me. It's actually not for me. So, the 5 seconds that I see you guys there, kunyari, like, sino yung grupo ninyo that you guys were all, ikaw, si Jet, I think that was
Yung Rock of
Sultan,
Ages.
or Rock of
Rock of
Ages for that
Ages,
man.
yes.
So, Rock of Ages was easy for me to assimilate and to, I was profiling people. Okay? Diretsahan to. In
Oo.
5 seconds na nandun ka, teka, si Jamie Tarantado, si Jet Lasinggero. So, isipin ko, beer garden music to. So, ganun ang mangyayari. So, in my playlist, in my Spotify, I do have categories. So, pinakamadali is by era. So, 90s, 80s, 2000, 2001.
Oo.
Pero meron ako doon kanya, my Yaya mix. Yun. Songs that I grew up listening to my Yaya. Yung mga habang naglalabas siya, Shirley Bassey. Sometimes may kliyente ako na gano'n na, Raymond, I want to look young again. So, but how do you make them feel good about themselves? But music does that to you eh.
Yes.
It hits, I don't know, it hits that certain emotional string to anybody that I know. I've never missed that. Na suddenly good memories start flowing in, and then they feel good and beautiful about themselves. But sometimes, like kunyari kayo, your actors, our director kunyari wants you to feel sad or wants you to feel depressed because that's what the image is calling for. I would bring things that, or play music that will, ano ba yan? Slasher music. Hindi slasher na serial killer, yung mang-slash ka talaga dahil puro love songs, mga ganun
Oo.
tipo. So,
Oo.
so yun. But, it does set the stage. It's very important. And not only but even for me, for inspiration, kasi I grew up, the MTV generation, the 80s is the MTV generation.
Yeah.
So, that was the time or the genre where in music was visualized. Kasi before, radyo lang lahat. Radyo, plaka,
Oo.
But when the MTV generation came in, ay, Ganun palang ibig sabihin ng ng new wave. So it invites a certain image. So ngayon, even pati yung banda, even people who are creating this kind of music tend to have that certain image in their head na, oh, preppy ako, I have to look like this. Or rocker ako, 80s rocker, ganito itsura ni Van Halen. O dapat ganito itsura ni, may mga, it did influence almost everybody around the world for that.
Yeah.
So,
What's interesting is I remember when we shot Matilda, and I was Miss Trunchbull.
oh my God, that was so
We were doing the photo shoot also. Siningit na ako sa photo shoot ng Kinky Boots.
Kinky Boots.
So it was Kinky Boots. So if you're not familiar, ladies and gentlemen, Kinky Boots is about disco in drag, and Matilda is a children's musical where I played the tyrannical child
Teacher.
hating teacher.
Yeah.
And
Babae,
so
ha?
yeah,
She played a
I was a
woman,
woman.
yeah.
So I was a woman,
Di ba ang
and
gandang babae yan?
it it was so funny because when I went down in full costume and natapos na yung shoot ng Kinky Boots, I remember you specifically changing the music and you put on
Oh,
"It's a Small World After All"
you noticed.
na
Oh,
naka-loop. So imagine I was going crazy because I was enjoying the disco music, and then all of a sudden, "It's a Small World After All."
it's
You
so
hear
irritating,
children
di ba?
singing. It was so annoying, but that's exactly the emotion that you wanted to
Why
get
did
out
you
of
do
me.
It is
Because
so...
this teacher was a very pissed off teacher. So I was so pissed off because parang, can we change the music? And he's like, no,
No,
shut up, Jamie. Give
no,
me
shut
something
up.
ganyan. Pretend you're
Yeah.
choking the child, yung ganon. And it was just like on loop. It's a small world after all. I was going crazy.
Crazy. I was going crazy. Sabi ko, tangina, things I have to do. And the speakers beside me, sabi ko, utang na loob. Pero in fairness to you, you're such a good artist. I mean, and I say this not because you're my friend. I say this because I've worked with you. I've seen your work. I've seen your craft. Hayop ka. I mean, you're a good actor. You're a good singer. I mean, I am jealous. I'm seriously jealous, ladies and gentlemen, of what this guy can do. If I can do half of that, siguro pwede ako mag-retire as a photographer at pwede na ako sa Kumu. Baka marami na akong pera doon.
Thank you, Raymond. Thank you. It's very flattering. I do my best, and that's really what it really. You if you surround yourself with people who inspire you and also who challenge you. And ladies and gentlemen, believe me,
Thank
Raymond
you.
Isaac will challenge you when you are in front of his camera. He
Oops.
knows when you have your standard poses, and
Oh, yeah.
he will do his best to break
To
your
break it.
poses
Oh,
and just
naginawa
to
mo na yan. Oh, let's not do it. And that's
oh
why, yeah, that's one of the things I always notice with people. Hindi naman yan siguro mahalata. Let's just do the normal. Ano sabi ko, oy, ang tagal ko na sa industriya, no? 36 years and counting.
wow.
And, I thought I've seen everything, and no, there's so many new things. That's why I started writing also what I call horror stories or blind items in my industry. I don't know if you've
Yes,
come across that.
yes.
So I write horror things that happen in my studio. I don't drag people I don't know in, but as long as it happens to me, I have the right to vent and talk about it. But chismis, well, that's hearsay. But me, ito talaga, it happened to me. So
I remember reading one of your blind items about the poor makeup artist who gave a shelf life
to the picture,
on the
oh,
picture, and
the
that's like
Patlencia
that's
biscuits.
that's never been done. I'm sure you have seen so many crazy things.
Oh,
What? But before we get into the blind
okay,
items,
okay, okay. Before
I'm
we,
wondering, what do you look for in a subject or in a concept? What are the
um,
photos that you want to take? If you don't have to worry about the client and their specifications, what do you like shooting?
it used to be so easy. If you were asked me, if I was asked the same question before and I was younger, I would say I'd love to shoot naked women.
Wow.
I said women and not men.
Yeah.
And guys, I don't like women. God forbid. But I love shooting naked women. They're the most beautiful subjects that I have in front of the camera. And the worst part about it is because there's this digawan factor. Yung parang nililigawan mo, you make her feel comfortable. You set the mood like what I do with you guys. You know how I set the mood.
Yeah.
Then I make them feel sexy. So as soon as I get that image, I click and click and then, okay, let's move to the next thing that we're doing. There, I forgot, it's like sex. Sorry, no offense, or foreplay. You bring them up to a certain height and then suddenly you cut it there and then
Now what?
I, I I was almost there, but why did you stop? I'm like, and the worst part, and this is a real story, and the worst part is that I do get proposals from these people that I've worked with that same situation. I said, you know what? If you're not married at a certain age, maybe we can have a kid together. What? Are you crazy, girl? What? Anong drugs mo, girl? Ano yan? Ano yan? Pictorial to. Hindi to ano, no? So, but, it must be the theater background that I have also, because I was a theater person before I got into photography. So the idea of making the situation, directing the talent into certain situations, so it did carry on in photography kahit papano.
How did you get into photography?
Oh, there's so many versions of that. Well, 36 years ago. Ang haba no, 36. Well, let's do the recap. I wanted to be I was a theater actor, but I wanted to be a model. We all, when we were young, we wanted the limelight. I mean, hindi lang naman tong generation to ang wanted ng, selfish selfie and me generation. So we all wanted to be, famous at a certain point in time. I don't know about the others. But the point was, so when I started applying myself to, mga talent scouts and this and that, sabi nila, I don't think your Botticelli body is in demand right now. So I was ahead of my time. Ngayon, uso ang matataba, di ba? Noong araw, sabi nila, mataba ka for the camera. Sabi ko, tangina mo, gago ka. So of course, I said that with a smile, am I allowed to say that here?
Yes, you're
sorry.
allowed.
Okay.
We're allowed.
So, I walk out with so much frustration. Sabi ko, gago to ah. Sabi ko, gaganti ako. So it's like a Viva movie. Babangon ako at maghihiganti ako. So I took up photography because I said, I'm gonna control the people in front of the camera this time, and I'm gonna last longer than you guys who are models who will grow old in front of the camera, who wither and be ugly, while I will dominate the next generations of models and artistas. Well, of course, it may come out as a joke, but there is a little tinge of truth in that. So
Okay.
that's one of the many reasons that I became a photographer, actually.
And so when you started controlling the people in front of your camera,
I love it. I was playing God. No, just kidding.
yeah. Well, no, of course, it's a lot of fun, and I've seen you enjoy yourselves, putting us in situations where
was
we,
so-
we
No,
don't
that-
normally do, and your sudden inspirations. Na, oh my God! Like there was one shot specifically in our Kinky Boots and Matilda shoot, where these were for two separate shows, and you actually took shots of me together with the angels.
Yeah,
Because
it was good.
you're all in drag. We might as well take a photo of all of you, even if it's for two shows.
And it looked good. It was promotion for two shows, diba? Anyway, yeah, but you have to be crazy like me to survive 36 years in this business. Well, if you're a normal person, you think you can come up with ideas na ganito. No, you find inspiration from the most mundane things and make it exciting. It's like also music. Sometimes the most, the lyrics nga now of the modern music that I keep on hearing are the same looping lyrics over and over again. Like, wow, ito na ba yung brain capacity ng mga lyricists natin ngayon? What happened to telling a story? Like, I was listening kanina to Sulo, and they said they were interested in the narrative. Congratulations, mga bagets. I'm very jealous of your position right now to be actually under Mr. Eli Buendia and Offshore. But, nawala na yung narrative. Nandun na yun, fucking I'm lonely. I heard this new song. Fuck, I'm lonely. Yeah, okay, so what na? Then the girl answers, yeah, fuck, I'm lonely too. Okay, then what? Yeah, fuck, we're both lonely. I'm like, okay, tama na. Tapos na, 2 minutes of fuck, I'm lonely. Ito pa rin ang sinasabi nyo. Can you just either get it on or, go to Grindr or something, or Tinder. Do something about it. Parang wala. Ganun na nangyari. So,
Well, a lot of the modern music now, I must admit, I haven't been listening to a lot of current music until, funny enough, last year, where I actually, because I mean, like, I have to explain this because, like, I'm in musical theater, so my playlists, for myself, were very, very limited because most time I'm studying music and lyrics and songs for shows.
for shows.
So I didn't really dedicate enough time for,
New
discovering or exploring new music or even other genres of music and all that. But since the pandemic happened and all the shows were canceled, That's when Spotify became my best friend because all of I was, not only Spotify, but then I was looking through all my CDs. I have a lot of CDs at home, and I was looking through my CDs, and then I realized wala akong working na CD player sa bahay.
Kuya,
So
wala nang
I
CD
would
player, di
wala
ba?
ng CD
Obsolete na siya.
player, oo. Pero ang dami-dami ko pang CDs. So yung ginawa ko, I went to Spotify and basically like replicated my collection of CDs
CDs.
on Spotify, and then you start making playlists, and then there's this amazing function of 'di ba parang since you listen to this, you might like this.
The algorithm of
Oo,
finding the
the
same kind of
algorithm.
music.
So I started discovering new music, and it just opened up my attitude instead of going towards the safety of my favorite songs all the time, which is
Or
very
your
limited.
comfort zones of
Yeah, my
so
comfort
now may
zone.
mga discover new music for today in Spotify. O, di ba?
Yes, yeah. And
So
also by talking to artists, especially in the show, also you get to discover what they listen to, what they recommend. Usually even after the show, they send me messages. Jamie, I just discovered a new band. You might like this. So it becomes like the old days where
you
you
would
used to go and see your friends, and then all of a sudden, oy, pare, may mixtape ako para
may
sa'yo.
mixtape ako, ito para sa'yo. Nako,
Oo.
may naalala tuloy ako na sinabi mo mixtape. My first
Ano?
my very first romantic encounter when I was in first year high school. Romantic talaga to. This is a serious story. Was that somebody from Assumption gave me a mixtape, and I said, "Oh my God, I think I'm in love with this girl because she gave me a mixtape." Parang ano yung play natin with the puppets,
Avenue
Avenue,
Q.
Avenue Q. So it's a mixtape, and that's exactly what happened. So a mixtape. So am I friends, or are we, or is there meaning to what this is? So I was listening. I was hoping. Medyo confused ako noon. Lesbian pa ho ako nung araw noon. Time na yun. So finally, I was listening to the mixtape, love songs in a genre of all these other things, and then finally, when we saw each other again for the next soiree, I'm interested in you. I said, and then sabi niya, I'll ask my girlfriend if it's okay.
Ah!
What? Excuse me? Like, what the fuck did you give me? Why did you give me a mixtape? What was that all about? I'm like, okay, fine. Napaka-progressive. High school. First year high school, ha? First year high school. And I said, I'll ask my girlfriend first. First year high school yun. Mixtapes,
That's
and all
that's
this.
too funny. Yeah, but the better you are at making mixtapes, that was the ligaw.
That was the ligaw, di
That
ba? I
was the
mean,
ligaw.
pupunta pa ako sa kapitbahay, wala kaming stereo, para lang maka-mixtape ako, tapos hahabuli ko kunyari yung radyo, DJ don't talk, DJ don't talk, tapos gaganin mo. Oh my God,
Di
those
ba?
are the times.
Those were the days, and then you would be able to say anything. Syempre, you would work so hard pa on the cover art kasi if it's for somebody, may cover art pa yan. May nagdo-drawing ka, maganda yung handwriting mo and all that.
Magkakat pa ako ng picture sa magazine para
Oh, yeah,
kunyari, hi
yeah.
Goldie.
Hey, Goldie. Oh,
Anyway.
speaking of making legal through music, right there.
Yeah,
You
that's
are
what you
right,
did.
right there. We both love rock and roll. So sabi ko, I have a way in to this woman.
Hindi ba? Eclectic ka. I mean, I'm sorry if I'm acting like a host here, but it's so interesting about you is that it's so eclectic. Your musical range is because I know you perform a different genre of music, and yet when you go to the studio, oh my God, he's singing a ballad that's not in your personality, but even if it's work, you are a chameleon. Why am I saying where you are a chameleon? You would adapt. You would change your colors. You would change your skin just to make sure the artistry is there. And that's what I miss in the industry. Actually, maraming pseudo artists pretending to be good at what they do. So I'm even talking about music here. So
Yeah.
ang dami ng apps kasi.
Oo. I think generally when I saw kasi umiba na yung trend in terms of like for example casting in theater. And this is what I tried to fight against. And sometimes I'm successful, sometimes I'm not. Like for example, if you see me, I'm typecast as a kontrabida because that's what I look like, right?
Visually, maybe.
Visually, yeah.
But you're a teddy bear.
Yeah. But shh, don't tell anybody.
Okay,
Shh.
I'm sorry. Okay, erase.
But
Let's edit
I'm
that.
always cast a contrabida. So I was actually beginning to miss roles that required you to transform. and
Ah,
into something that you're generally not. And that's why I love working with
a
certain directors
challenge.
who required me to transform into something I am, not physically against type. And that also goes with the music, because like I love performing the blues, I love performing rock and roll, but as an actor, you have to adapt,
Adapt.
and you have to inhabit the skin of whatever role you're playing, depending on the vision of the director, and your director is God, diba?
Correct.
And that's also what I loved about the answer of Sulo earlier, is that they're storytellers,
They're
and
storytellers.
they're
I know.
and
I
they're
was
telling
they,
stories.
sabi ko, good as children. I had to say this, as children, it's nice to start on the right foot. At least,
Yes.
kasi maraming ano ngayon, maraming mayabang na, hey, I don't need to learn how to read music or write music, or because it's in the internet, and total meron naman ano what do you call that app that corrects your may pitch ano nga
Auto tune, may auto
auto
tune.
tune. So sabi ko, yeah, but then you're like everybody else.
Yeah.
What separates you from the pack? I mean, nobody that's common actually becomes important unless you suddenly stray from the pack. You become the lone wolf. You become, the leader of something. You introduce something new. You disturb the comfort zones of mostly, and it's present both in music and in photography. So that's why when I talk like this, it doesn't necessarily mean it's just in photography, but it's also in music. I love music. It's an essential part of my everyday life. It's part. I grew up with my mom saying, if you don't have music in your life, you don't have soul. So
Yeah.
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 So
Well, that's also what makes that separates you from the pack, because basically when I see a photograph, I know that, oh, that's a Raymond Isaac, or somebody's trying to copy Raymond Isaac.
thank you for the
You
compliment.
know, and really, it's brilliant because you have such a perfect eye that'll capture a moment. And we only see, like, the people who see the photographs only see that moment. They don't see the effort and the hard work that you put into creating that moment
Into
for you to
creating,
capture.
correct. I
And I
always tell
think that moment is so important.
No, I always tell people when they say, "Oh, ang ganda ng picture mo, ang galing-galing mo." Sabi ko, "No, no, no, no. I'm not trying to be humble here. Yung picture na yan, it's not because of me. It's a collaboration of energy, of passion, of the person in front, of the people behind me, of the fight we have. We don't agree on things, and then suddenly when you're pushed to the limit, when you don't agree on things, suddenly something happens and it snaps into something beautiful. I'm like, wow, I think this was meant to be. Kaya conflicts are good. That's why the pandemic for me. I mean, yes, it's not a good thing in general, but you take in the good and the bad together in any situation. I always when something bad happens, I look for the good first because it
Yeah.
removes the anxiety kagad. So when
Yes.
the pandemic came in, I said, "Oh my God, I can have my show." Wala na. So yeah, people are crazy. Yeah, now they can listen to me, another crazy person. It's gonna be good. Like so, ganun na nangyari. Buti pala hindi ako kumanta, no? Baka ma-discover ako ni Ellie. Dapat
Oh,
kumanta ako
yun.
sa next episode ko mag-auto-tune ako, baka sakali makalusot ako.
Well, the beauty about the pandemic, like, looking at the silver lining or seeing what's good about it, when you reinvented yourself and did your talk show, and finally I had the same impulse, kasi parang finally I can do my talk show because I don't have to worry about rehearsals. I don't have to worry about becoming somebody else. I can be myself, and I can talk to like-minded people.
And there's no
Um,
censorship, di ba? Ang
and
ganda.
there's no censorship, and you have a captive audience
Correct.
because everybody's on lockdown. They're just online.
Correct.
you know so that was I remember listening to your shows, and you would be so makulit in terms of, like, your questioning, and your line of questioning, and your reactions to it. And I think it's a beautiful thing that at this age we're able to reinvent ourselves somewhat and do something that has always been in the back burner, and we've had the opportunity to do it.
There are good things in this pandemic. I mean, if people really want to know what it is, all you have to do is look closely, and you will discover so many things. I discovered new friendships. I've
Yes.
discovered who are stronger than the most. I mean, we all have our weaknesses, but we also have, we can discover new things about ourselves. Kaya nga sabi ko, maganda to. I mean, people just love the drama. I mean, I do too. So it's not bad actually.
Okay, so Raymond, let's talk about, okay, so you've been in the industry for 36 years. If you can pick one, what would be the best shoot you've ever had?
Oh, we're there in that question.
Mm-mm.
No, that's kind of hard. The best shoot normally is when it's unexpected, and that's what I said earlier. When it's something
Mm.
unexpectedly beautiful happens, and it's wow. I never thought I'd do something like that. Sometimes where people kasi normally expect the best shoot is when this artista is there, and I know that's a no brainer. Kung maganda na yung artista, maganda yung modelo, and then somebody says ang galing mong photographer, parang it gives me that certain uh, paano ka naging, of course, it helps to have a nice, beautiful model, but
Yeah.
where's the challenge in that? I mean,
Yeah.
pwede, kung hindi, kunyari, maganda siya, pero hindi siya naguhubad, napahubad mo, then that's a good challenge, di ba? Then,
Mm-mm.
this is how my brain works. I mean, that's why I always tell people, I'm not forcing you to listen to what I believe in, but this is how I, because yun ang nangyayari. Wait, but, wait, before we continue, one of the things I wanted
Mm.
to say earlier pala, was that one of the milestones that I normally have is that I've shot so many album covers. Kasi nga,
Mm.
I was nervous coming into your show. Sabi ko, what can I contribute to music? But one of the things I remember, most of the album covers of most of the Filipino artists, I've done from the 80s to the 90s
Yes.
till CD was not available anymore. So yun na yung pinaka, till CD was not available anymore. So if you go into the internet, guys, and then most probably that's mine kasi that's where the money was before. We were getting paid well when we were doing things like that, and then we
Okay.
graduated into shooting videos that will collaborate with the image of the album, mga ganun tipo. Kasi nga nauso na nga video music for artists to promote their music also.
Yeah.
Ngayon ba uso pa ba yun, kasi where's the money in that? Parang wala na,
Yeah.
di ba?
Well, nowadays everybody's shooting themselves, but
Yeah,
it's
that's true.
interesting. It's interesting when you say, okay, so you've shot a lot of album covers. What's your favorite?
That's hard. No, when you ask an older person what your favorite one is, and this is kunyari you're not listening. This is kunyari train of thought lang in my head. Oh my God, he asked that question. If I say one person, magsiselos yung iba,
Oh.
sasabihin na, bakit siya? Ako yung pinaka nahirapan ko. Di ba, mas maganda naman ako sa kanya. I'm like, so, that was an interesting question, Jamie Wilson. I believe that all my album covers are beautiful in itself because they speak with different personalities, regardless of who it is or what they are, if it's a band or a soloist. I think each and every one can bring something to the table. I thank you. Di ba? I had that experience when I said the best shoot is this. Biglang, oh my God, this...
Ang daming nagalit.
Oo, daming nagalit sa akin, daming artista ng gano'n. Sabi, bakit sila? Wala naman siyang karapatan na. So, my next move was to name the ugly people first para at least, yan yun ang best ko, yung mga pangit. Para, bakit sila? Napaganda ko sila eh. So, yun ang best shoot ko.
We have a question here from Renz Joshua.
Renz.
Renz, he's actually the guy who creates our posters for
Yes,
On the
Renz.
Rocks, and he was so excited to actually, have a photographer on. He's like, "Wow, you're interviewing a photographer." So this is his question. So what's your most technical shoot?
Oh, that's easy. The most technical shoots are called advertising shoots because they don't ask you to be creative as much, but you need to follow certain guidelines that they need. It's like problem solving, so it becomes very technical. For example, you want Jamie on a motorcycle, sunset, wind blowing, but you want smoke going the other way. Parang
Wow.
logic does not happen there. But you're getting paid to do so it becomes technical. So what you do is you research, okay, Jamie cannot go out because it's pandemic. So what do I use for sunset? Because these are the things you create the mood. So for sunset,
Yeah.
okay, so maybe I'll just either use a dropout where technically you remove the background and put another picture, or you put a picture of a sunset that's out of focus at the back, and then pretend it. Then it becomes a jumping point for adding on all these things. So now that there's a sunset, so Jenny needs warm glow, and then you need wind in his hair, so dapat may electric fan. Then it starts adding on. It becomes very technical. But the exciting part about the technicality of advertising work is this. when you've done what the client wants, suddenly in the back of your head it says it's like when you're singing, Jamie. I'm sure you. I know this is how it's supposed to be sung, but I wanna
But
infuse my personality in this song. Maybe I'll be a Mariah Carey, kukulutin ko ng konti, yung mga ganun yung boses ko. O, di ba, Mariah ka na. O kaya gusto ko maging parang ibahin ko lang ang tone ng konti or pitch, parang, gawin ko siyang jazz or, all these little things. Then, it becomes exciting for you because the exciting part is what can you do with a technical shoot and make it, your personality, make it your own. And most probably, and most of the time, when I do that, that's the one they choose. Suddenly, I put a little twist. Ay, Raymond, pwede pala mangyari yan. Oo naman. Pwede naman lumipad si Jamie sa motorcycle eh. So, bakit naman? Pwedeng kunyari parang Ghost Rider, may apoy doon sa dulo ng kanyang di ba? Bakit hindi?
Bakit hindi?
Pwede pala yun, no? Hindi, wala naman bawal, di ba? Gusto nyo exciting ang shoot natin. So, gawin na natin to. So, pag ganun, you add your personality eventually. That becomes,
you
that
add you
becomes
add you add your flavor
you add
into
your
it.
flavor. Oo. Ang haba ng sinabi, isa lang question.
Hindi, sakto yun. I mean, that's amazing because like, as you were equating it for me, like to me singing, right? I always have that thought in the back of my head.
Di
And
ba?
it
I mean,
always
all
and it
artists
always
will,
goes
yeah.
it always goes out no, parang okay, can I rock this song out? Mapapansin ba ng musical director ko? Mapapansin ba ng
Oo.
director ko?
Oo,
Mapapagalitan ba
bibigyan ka
ako?
ng notes pagkatapos ng show ng
Oo.
Sabi niya, Jamie, bring it down. Hindi pa ito ang last show. Yun ang maririnig mo.
Oh, that happened between me and Bobby Garcia so many times. Like, Jamie, I don't like your rock voice at the end of that. Can you give me a clean falsetto? And I'm like, oh my God, how the hell do I do a clean falsetto? Because I don't have a clean falsetto. So I go to our vocal coach. I go take voice lessons to figure out a clean falsetto. And after all that effort, when the show is put together and you see the costumes and Bobby builds the moments with the lights and all that, he says, Jamie, I like the rock falsetto better.
Why don't you go back to that?
Diba?
Alam
But
mo,
at least,
when you're working with artists, always expect the unexpected.
yes. That really, and be prepared for it. Be prepared for anything that's going to happen, especially with the person who is God in the room, whether it be, if you're in Raymond Isaac's studio and he's taking your picture, or if you have a director who has a crazy idea, be prepared to do the unexpected talaga.
But there's nothing wrong with being prepared. We always do that anyway. At the end of the day, you'll never know. Being unexpected might be a nice addition to your personality. You always learn things from everybody. There's no such thing as, magaling na ako. I'm the top of my class na. Ako yung pinakamagaling na photographer. Ako na yung pinakamagaling na singer. Ako na yung pinakamagandang banda. Once an artist says that, nako, I can tell you already, that's the end of that person or that group. Kasi, once a person says, I'm the best that there is, goodbye. Remember, there's always somebody who's going to be better. There's always somebody who's going to be more beautiful than you are. There's always a voice that's going to be so much beautiful than yours. So...
And that's what I noticed during the pandemic. You were also giving some photography workshops.
Yes, I
And
was.
you were also in the process. I would see your news feed on Facebook, and you're also figuring out how to give these workshops. So you're learning something new at the same time, but then the difference is you're the teacher also.
Yeah,
So it was quite an
might as well
interesting
push yourself.
process.
Oo nga, di
Yeah.
ba? Push yourself. Learning process naman talaga. I mean, until you die, you still learn new things. You'll never know nga. Sometimes that's my fear. Did I do everything right? Mga ganun tipo. Well, I can't go back. I have to do something perfect already when I'm given a certain task. I have to do
Yeah.
it, hindi lang 100%, 100 something percent pa.
Well, it's funny because like I basically learned from making as many mistakes as possible. Oh, si Ellie nagko-comment, I never
Oh.
knew you were in theater before. How interesting.
So does that mean you're gonna give me a contract? Joke lang! Ang tapang lang loob, oh.
Oh, let's send that demo of the
Wag
Roku
na.
Boys.
Wag na. Mapapahiya ako. Can you give me at least mga 2 years to bring my voice back? Oh, I destroyed my voice. I used to sing on stage when I started smoking because of the stress. Ayan, nangyari na yan. Wala na. Tapos para kang Brian Adams. Pwede yata yan. Sabi niya, hindi, tigilan mo ako.
May texture na yung boses mo.
Hindi, meron na raw texture. There was a time, what was that song with duet of Barbara Streisand and
Oh, sinasabi ni Ellie, sample daw, sample.
sample? Okay. Ito po ang rubbing alcohol na pwede ho natin sample for today. Pwede natin pwede ho yan pang hands, pwede ho yan pang ma'am, sir, if you buy now, may buy one, take one ho tayo. Ayan, sample na yun. Tama na yun. Hindi, tigilan mo nga ako, Eli Buendia, hindi pwede. Iwan na natin sa magagaling yung kumanta. Iwan nyo na lang ako dito sa comedy. Anyways, yan, nakalimutan ko na what were we talking about?
I don't know.
Na-stress ako kay Ellie pag nag-o-offer ng mga ganun eh.
Oh, sabi ni Ellie, you're hired.
You're hired as a clown?
I'm still thinking, wow, what kind of alcohol is he selling? Pwede yan. Okay, so another question here from the feed, from
Sige,
Renz
go.
again. In this
Hi.
age of high quality cameras and smartphones, does having a top of the line camera still matter?
That's always been asked. You know what? The camera is there as a tool. You know, parang tayo. A guitar is a guitar. A microphone's a microphone. A drum's a drum. You know, but what breathes in the life into this is the person holding it.
Yes.
So, yeah, I will confess, I love using all these things, but it never is the end of the, it never is the beginning and the end of the picture or the image that I'm shooting. It's always, when I look at something, I'm sure it's the same with you. When you tell a story by song, I tell a story by, how does this microphone affect me? So, kunyari, tatas ko na yung microphone. How does this microphone affect me? It feels like a dead cat. Yung mga ganun tipo. So syempre, you're talking to a crazy person. So, di ba ang tawag dun sa ibabaw ng camera, dead kitten? You're aware that they call it a dead kitten.
Yeah.
Sabi ko, dead kitten? Sinong gago nag-isip ng dead kitten ang tawag sa microphone sa ibabaw ng camera? So, anyway. So, it doesn't matter, really. It really doesn't matter. So, if somebody asks me, what's the best camera in the world? Well, of course, I'm under Sony. I will say it's Sony, but the truth is, I don't endorse something that I don't believe in. So Sony for me, at this point in time, hands down ako talaga. Do you know that the camera? I'm not endorsing this. Do you know that the camera I'm using? Basically, Jamie, if you run left to right, and I'm talking to Bobby Garcia because he's giving me instruction, and I just press something, it's still gonna take your picture following your eye focus. I'm like, wow, pang matanda to, ang ganda. Sabi ko,
My remote?
it freaking technology has jumped, so much. The problem is the human beings can't keep up. I swear, we can't keep up. So what happens is nagiging tamad yung tao because of the luxury of technology, and we stop thinking. We do stop thinking. In music, for example, there is a pattern wherein would you sabi ni Gold?
Sabi ni Gold, what's your take on digital versus analog? Kasi,
None.
syempre
They're two different worlds. There is no comparison. Digital, if you want to be efficient and you want to save money, I'll go digital because that's where the world is going. Analog, if you're a romantic, para music yan eh. You want to be synthesizer because it's uso. You want to have patterns of likes and and sequences wherein people will parang EDM na tugs 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 tugs. It's a back, it's a pattern that everybody has. I've heard this na before. Tapos biglang nilang i-revive yung old music, ipapasok lang nila doon sa pattern. I'm like, guys, a grade school person can do this. Stop it. So, but then again, kung yun ang gusto nyo, doon ko kayo sasaya. But analog kasi is romanticized because it's harder to do. It's like music. When I give you a piece and then mahirap gawin, it becomes a romanticized piece. Di ba? You put your heart and soul in trying to perform something like that. So I never compare because they both have uses. They both have a different set of rules also. Ano yung sinabi ni Ellie? Nakalimutan ko na.
Sabi ni Ellie, you're hired.
Ayoko na. Natakot ako. Back out! Back out.
Well, I mean, in the world of music also, I mean, digital, like you were saying, digital versus analog, now that the resurgence of vinyl, yung mga LPs, bumabalik.
Diba? Kaya lang I wanna go back. Saan ka bibili ng bagong vinyl ngayon?
Ay, ang dami. Ang dami.
With new music, kunyari, sino ba mga magandang artist ngayon na they don't produce vinyl. It's all in Spotify. So
Actually, in their first release, oh yan. So yan, nagpo-promote na yung Offshore music. Full
Saan
Flood
yan?
by Apartel.
Full.
Apartel is one of Ellie's bands, and they're releasing an
Vinyl?
LP, yeah, on vinyl. So you have right
Wow.
now, I think last year, vinyl sales
Went up.
went super up,
Went up.
more than any other format of music last year. Vinyl physical sales of vinyl went up. So you have
And
this interesting thing, like when I go to record stores or when I look online, you have a really good mix of, the class A second hand, LPs na somebody dug up from their lolo's house or their tito's
correct.
house, and then you have brand new releases with really good pressings of modern
Of
bands,
one. And
because now
there's
they're also starting to
a-
release.
and the buyers are actually young people. Have you noticed?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know the psychology behind that?
No. Enlighten me.
Oh, okay. See, masyadong chismoso. I call it chismis, but people call it research in general. So, basically, this is what happens. When you're growing up as a kid, so kunyari, I know I'm older than you, let's not carbon date myself, but when you're growing up as a kid, like me, for example, I would listen to the songs my parents would listen to.
Yeah.
So, nandiyan na yung 60s, 70s, hindi sila mahilig kasi nagkaanak na silang magugulo, so nag-wane doon. So, it was the 40s, the 50s, and the 60s. That was the genre of my parents. So, when I grew up and I could afford to choose my music, doon umikot yung interest ko. So, sabi ko, wow, the 50s are, I love Motown. I love the way,
Yeah.
these things are going. So, when, kunyari, Carole King's musical Beautiful came out, I'm like,
Yeah.
really? Carole King wrote that? I grew up with that music. And then there's this emotional attachment. So it becomes a cycle. When you become adults now, the subconscious that you've been listening to as kids become very important to you. Hence, let's
Yes.
go back to vinyl. When these younger people are growing up now, and ako yun supposed to be age ng parents nila, I would collect vinyl because that was important to me during the time that I was listening to music. So now that they're adults and they can afford to buy music, parang, wait, I'm interested in vinyl. Why? I don't understand why, but I love the rawness. I love the popcorn. I love the imperfect music that was recorded. Because the subconscious has already written that music in their heads because adults were listening to it. So now that they're adults, nag-click na yun, yung genre na yun. So, I will go give you example. Si Bruno Mars. We love the songs of Bruno Mars, but they're not new. They have the genre music of the 80s.
Yes.
Let's even make it modern. Sabi, tanda naman ni Raymond, puro 80s na sinasabi. The number one band, BTS. Yung kanilang
Yeah.
song na, ano nga ba yung song nila? Putik. The
Ano,
one that I loved. Um,
Dynamite?
Dynamite. That
Oo.
is so 90s.
Yes,
It's
it
like
is.
it's a rip off from the 90s. And then people are saying, "Oh my god, it's beautiful. I love this. It's something you know it's not. Your brain was programmed to like this already when you were kids because your parents were listening to the 90s music. Now that you're adults, you can afford to choose your music. It just clicked in. So there is a science to perception. So the reason why I'm saying this also is that kunyari, like Mr. Eli Buendia wants to start marketing things. All you need to do now is count the cycles of your target market. So kung ang
Okay.
market mo is millennial, think of the millennials' parents. What were they listening to? Now create music of that same genre but twist it just a bit. O kunyari, biglang ginawa nila ng konting synthesize. Eh, di dagdagan mo ng konting synthesize. But
Oo.
it's the same pattern. It just goes in cycles. It's the same with fashion. It's the same with photography. Now, you have photography-based apps wherein there are filters.
Yes.
These filters are 70s filters. I'm like,
Yeah, the vintage filters.
the vintage
I remember when
diba?
Instagram first came out, the icon was basically an old camera.
Correct. The Polaroids.
Yeah, the Polaroids. Yeah.
So, because nga they didn't experience this, it's the best thing to sell to the younger people. And who has the money? Because they don't have responsibility, they will splurge money on something they think is not. Eh tayo, saan tayo? Wala tayong sweldo for the next 3 months. Paano na yan? May pandemic. Pero yung mga, nay, nanoloko na po ako dito. Pwede bang lumabas muna kami sandali? And then, they start buying things. We've gone through the same cycle. I mean,
Yeah.
we buy posters of our icons, of our of our bands, of our singers. We put them on the walls. I mean, I did that. And then, eventually, when you grew out of it, parang, bakit ko nga ba binitong poster na to? Mahal-mahal nito. Yung ganun tipo.
Well, I mean, since you mentioned these cycles, I'm beginning to remember why, like in terms of fashion. Back in the day, I would just wear straight cut pants, and then I started falling in love with the flares and the bell bottoms, which is way beyond
Your
my
time.
era, right? My time. And then all these, like, shirts with the huge collars and all that. And it's because I realized it's because I always thought that my dad looked really cool in them. And I
Exactly.
just had to reach a certain age where I thought, hey, I can pull this off now. Or hey, I really like this now.
And
Like
sometimes
right
you
now,
don't
I
know
don't
why,
think
di ba?
I don't own straight cut jeans. It's always, at the very least, it's boot cut jeans. Not because I wear boots, but it's because I like the way it feels on me. I like the way it looks on me. But really, the programming is, it's because my parents wore
Your
these.
parents were it, and then you saw them as cool people. So, now, you can't explain, oh nga, no, bakit cool ang flare? O bakit nga ba maganda yung mga prints ngayon? Na? Even the prints. People are so confused because attention span has been, has deteriorated already. So ngayon, they keep on returning all these things. Last year, it was all these 70 prints coming out. BTS was
Yes.
wearing it. However, 70s print, look at the cycle, 70s, 80s, 90s. It's always a 30-year cycle. The 90s naman was the way they wore it, oversized shirts, pero 70s print,
Oh,
90s, 2000, 2010, and now we're in 2020, 30 years again
yes.
after. There
That's
is a
right.
30-year cycle every time. I teach this in my class. So sabi ko, if you want to be ahead of your time, and that's what I figured this out in the 80s. And that's the reason why I've always had this supposed to be gift to be ahead of everybody. Not because I'm a genius. God forbid, I'm not a genius. Because chismoso ako. That's the point. Mausisa ako. I always, look into things that, people don't normally look at. And I figured out it is a cycle of 30 years, always, every time.
That's very interesting. So offshore music said noted.
Noted. You can hire me as a
Noted.
you can hire me as a marketing consultant also if I can't pass as a singer. So you're hired again. Yeah.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
Sabi ko na nga eh. Sige,
Yeah,
kasi parang I'm thinking twice kasi if I'm going to accept Rico Blanco's offer, but since Eli Buendia asked nicely, I'm gonna say yes.
there you go.
Joke
There
lang.
you go.
Joke lang. Rico never asked.
So I think, in terms of the 30-year cycle, in terms of, like you said, it does encompass, not only music but fashion, the look, what we wear, what we listen to. If you do look at, when you said about BTS Dynamite, and I never liked BTS until, of course, Lea Salonga got me into it.
Blame
And
Lea Salonga.
I had to research on her show, and it's like, why does she love this band so much? So I started listening to it, and before you know it, I was hooked. And you're right. It's because I was pre-programmed to love it because I was listening to this music in the 90s.
In the 90s. I don't like, sorry, no offense to the viewers, I don't like K-pop. I
Yeah,
really don't.
me too. Me too.
But when sabi ko, galing kayo ingenious. Whoever the marketing was, whoever the songwriter was of that, I mean, you guys took over the world. Galing nyo.
I didn't even have the luxury of knowing the psychology behind it or the 30-year pattern. I was just hooked. And before you knew it, when I was listening to it, I was dancing to it. And I'm
And
like, oh
before you,
no,
and
I'm
then
listening
you're
to
trying to
K-pop.
research on other things that
And
they
then
have.
yes, yeah, of
See, it's
course.
a hook. It's really a hook. Just one hook for any audience. Tuloy-tuloy na yan. Tuloy-tuloy yan.
That's a fantastic way to think about it. Now I'm going to start self-examination and saying, okay, I really love this thing. What's the 30-year cycle of this? I'm going to
There
backtrack.
really is. Oh, okay. If you want to help yourself, sometimes it's not that far. 30 years is a general rule for something global or international. If you want to go back to more personal, it goes in prime numbers. Threes, it starts with three, fives, and sevens. So your life revolves around, manghuhula. Sabi sa'yo, hindi lang
Wow.
photographer, theater. Sabi sa'yo, hire niyo po ako, wala pa ho pa kami masyadong trabaho. It goes in 3, 5, or 7 year cycles. Why is that 5 years, 7? Our prime numbers go into the, prime numbers go in cycles by our life. So kunyari, when were you married?
I proposed to her during Matilda. So that's 2018. 2018. Yes.
2018. Wow,
So that's 3 years.
divisible kagad.
2018,
Everything's divisible
2019,
by three.
2020.
Everything's divisible by 3, 5s, and 7. So if you want to plan something now, so the pandemic started 2020,
Yeah.
21 yon. In 3 years, dun lang tayo magsisettle.
Yes.
When the dust finally settles, that's the truth, guys. Don't
Yeah.
believe that the vaccine is going to help immediately. It's not. The dust will not settle until 3 years after. So in the meantime, sabi, pag Raymond naman, parang manghuhulang masama, may mamamatay. Hindi
Voice of
po.
doom.
Voice of doom. Hindi po. Ang ibig sabihin nun, now is the time to prepare. Why? So after the 3-year cycle, after the pandemic and the dust has settled, dapat nakabuild na kayo ng either a business that will make you survive because there is a recession.
Yes.
At least now you know that hindi after 3 years, wala na foreclose ng bahay ko, wala akong ginawa during the pandemic. Hindi, that's the reason why it's always about, the good side. You can prepare, and that's the reason why. It's part of preparing and adapting and surviving.
Yes.
So
And
if you want to plan your
adapt.
life, ganun yan, every 3 years, 5 years, or 7 years.
So that's the prime number
Prime
working
numbers
for you.
always.
Oh, interesting. I never thought of that. So, can you tell me my fortune na while we're here?
Okay, I will tell you.
Yung mga
fortune.
hula.
I will tell you, your aura is bluish at this point in time. bullshitter talaga. I can tell that physically there is a need to release a certain bodily fluid.
You're just watching me like a hawk in case I lean back.
I know, it's a game. I was telling Audie nga, di bali na nga. Off cam na lang namin. Kasi mga kaibigan, meron kaming private joke. May hinuhulaan kami na things that Jamie will do that we're not aware of. Yun. And I promise pa naman magbibigay talaga. Seryoso to, I'm going to donate a prize. If he announces what the contest is eventually. Pero that's for another show.
That's
So,
for another show.
that's for
I'm not
another
ready to
show.
confess what I do as I do the show just yet. But as of now, cheers muna tayo. Cheers.
Cheers. Buti
Hey.
na lang may nagtitimpla sa akin dito. Thank you, Tito Jason, for the gin.
Nice. Hi to Jason. Okay, so Raymond, another thing before we get into the rundown, another thing that I've been meaning to do is to come over to your studio and borrow some comics. You are a big comic book collector.
Yeah, I'm a geek. I'm everything in between. Yeah, but the nice thing about it, do you know that there's baka ma-shutdown ako. There's this site where you can get your free comics already. So instead of spending money, you didn't know. This whole
I like
pandemic,
holding I like holding the pages.
I know,
eh.
I like holding it also. But at the end of the day, putik 400, 1,000 pesos. Tapos, sabi nila, that's why I started collecting. Sabi nila, when you get older, there are 2 ways you can share your comics. Your nieces or your sons or your nephews will be interested in them. And then number 2, you can sell them at eBay at a higher price. Fuck, I've been trying to sell it in eBay and nobody's biting. What the hell is that? So sabi ko, tigilan na itong kagaguhan na to. So going on the practical side, there is a side where you can actually read all these comic books. And I've been trying to catch up with storylines. Here's the fault. Disney Plus and Marvel has now changed the whole landscape of stories in Marvel universe. That
Yes.
you're the one who needs to catch up, number 1. Number 2, ay mas maganda yata manood na lang tayo. WandaVision. Are you familiar with WandaVision?
Yes.
Putek. The writing is, I cannot, whoever's writing that, I swear, ang galing mo. Kasi, basta, the storylines are, they merged the old storylines from my generation and brought it to the present where the new ones can understand it faster. So it negates all the comic readers from the 90s down. So, sorry na.
Wow.
It did.
Wow.
It negated everything. So, wala na. Di ba Iron Man died in Avengers? Oops.
Yes.
I'm not supposed to say any spoilers pala, no?
Well, if you haven't seen Avengers Endgame, have you been living under a rock?
Well, not after the pandemic. I'm sure they've seen all the movies already by this time, no?
Oo.
Pero nung pinatay nila si Iron Man, that was a 2000 something 15 or 12 storyline. Ay,
Yes.
si Aquaman, si Iron Man.
Iron Man.
And So now, all the people have collected comics from before that storyline. O ano pa, ibebenta ko, patay na siya. So,
Mm-mm.
nobody's
Tama.
interested to know what happens now. And then they do good interpretations of the storyline. Wala na. Oh, wait, what was your question about comics?
No, like
Sorry.
what are your favorite titles? What did you grow up reading?
Originally, it was,
Before you discover this website that gives you your free comics, when you
well,
used to actually physically go to the store, are you a Comic Quest person or a Phil Bars person?
both. Kung mahal sa
Of
Comic Quest
course.
at wala akong discount, pupunta ako sa Philbars. Isa ko baw lang ang Philbars. Lalakarin ko lang. Nasa New York yon. And nandun ako sa Detroit, which is basically 3 blocks away. So if I
Yeah.
don't have money, I would say, I'm just, browsing. Tapos one
Mm.
page at a time or 2 page, tapos babalik ulit ako for another day to finish it. And then, oh, that was so hard before when I didn't have income then. Anyway, started with DC because it was very easy to understand, and then what we call tapusan, it ended per
Yeah,
comics.
yeah. There wasn't
So
these long arcs that you
there
had
were
to
no
really,
story arcs that was
follow.
so long. And plus
Yeah.
the fact I love Wonder Woman, so that was one of the reasons why I was a DC fan in the beginning. Then I was introduced to Marvel in the late 80s, and then I said, oh wow, it's an adult theme. It's like
Yes.
watching a soap opera in front of you, unfold in front of you. Kaya lang ha, if the delivery didn't arrive, patay ka, you miss one episode or one issue.
Correct.
So lala na. Then I would get whatever was there and survive. But now with the online reading of comic books, it was so easy. I'll give it to you later if you want.
Okay. Yes, please. Yes, please. Oh, sabi ni Adrian Arcega, who's also a big geek. Okay lang yan. Iron Man dying is like Darth Vader's "I am your father" moment, a pop
A
culture
pop culture
staple.
set. Oo nga, after that, kaya di ba if you watch kanya Darth Vader, any movie that's before the Darth Vader, I am your father, Luke.
Oo.
Sabi niya, biglang, oh, tatay mo yan, di ba? Sabi, oo, alam na namin yun. Tama na, huwag kang makapagkwentuhan dito sa sinehan. I go into fights with people. Oh my God, huwag ka papasok dyan, baka masaktan ka. Kaya nga suspense to, gago.
Yes. Oh, I am the same way in the movie
Stop
house. I
it,
shoot people bad looks. Or I really hate the running commentary best friend.
Di ba?
Yung
Oo, yan,
nanonood ka
yan.
ng sine, tapos may running commentary sa
Sa
likod
likod
mo.
mo pa, ha, of all places,
Oo,
ha?
sa likod.
And
And
it
then they're
all,
explaining shot by
haven't you,
shot what's happening.
haven't you noticed, it always happens to those people who hate commentaries, and they always are behind us in every movie
Always.
houses.
Always.
Bakit? It's a joke of the universe. Ayaw mo ng newscaster, ha? Teka, your seat for today is a newscaster. Patay.
It's our karma. And you know what? This used to still happen to me, even like in the old cinemas, diba? You can just walk in and you don't have to choose your seat. Now you have
Correct.
to actually book your specific seat. This used to happen to me randomly. That's why I used to sit in the very front row in the cinemas when you didn't have to book your
Oh my
seat.
God. Tapos
Just so
ang
I
laki-laki mong
yeah,
tao, then you're doing this.
yeah, but I would sit down, so I would lower myself on the seat just so I wouldn't block
Slouch.
the view, diba? I would slouch. But I like the fullness of the view, and more often
Yes.
than not, the blow by blow commentators would not be right behind me because nobody really likes sitting in the front row or the first three rows.
That close, right?
But it would still happen to me. Like, and it would happen to me. And sometimes you watch movies na, okay lang, I'm gonna watch a movie. But there are some movies that you really, really are waiting for and you really want to watch. And nagkataon, the first time you watch it, that commentator is right behind you.
At tapos
It's the joke of the universe.
hindi pa yun. Tapos dinala pa niya yung best friend niya na napanood na niya para kasi samahan mo lang siya. Oo, ito yung part na mamamatay siya. Ay,
Abangan mo,
tarantado
abangan
ka
mo.
talaga. Pero kailangan hindi mo alam, kailangan hindi mo alam. Ano yun, gago? Sabi ko,
I would get into fights or screaming children. That's why we modified our movie watching schedules to let's do the last showing of the day, so at least it eliminates the factor of screaming children, especially if it's like like a
How?
PG film. You know,
Eh, but sometimes, I did have an experience when they brought children into a not even PG, talagang for adults only. It was not
wow,
even about sex, okay? It's the material or the story
it
or
was
the
too
violence. It was
violent.
too
Yeah,
And then the kids were just, syempre, they were not interested in a drama dialogue. So
yes,
they were like moving back and forth. Sabi ko, iha, bakit naman dinala mo yung anak mo rito? Alam mo naman for adults to, 5 years old lang yan. You know? Sabi niya, kasi wala akong kasama sa bahay. So sinama ko na dito para at least, kawawa, walang mag-aalaga. Mother, violence. Tinuturuan ba natin ng mga bata maging serial killer? Ganun ba ang mangyayari sa'yo? And then after that, you stand up, and this is one of my pet peeves, is that, kala nila sila may-ari ng sine, they leave their mess, the
Oh,
popcorn,
yeah.
the soda. Parang sabi ko, and then I did confront somebody once. I said, huy, nakakaya naman yata yun. Nag-iniwan nyo yung basuran, yung kalat nyo, nandun na yung basuran. Ay, naku sir, kaya namin ginagawa yan para may matrabaho naman yung mga janitor. Kasi kung wala silang kalat, anong gagawin nila? Oh, the damming of the planet is real. Oh,
Oh.
shit.
To tell you the truth, Raymond, I used to do that. I used to litter and say, look, I'm generating jobs.
Now, you know better.
Yes, of course, now I know better. Oh, so what are your thoughts on the news of the cinemas opening again? Ooh,
Tricky
what do
question.
you,
Alam mo,
tricky question.
we need to start the economy rolling again.
Yes,
That is a
yes.
must. But there is a right way of doing it. But if we were in a first world country and we do follow rules, opening cinemas won't be a problem. There will be
Yes.
guidelines. There will be 2 seats apart. There'll be filters in the movie houses or in the theaters.
Yes.
But we are in the fucking planet of the Philippines, and I don't think
It's a
that's
scary
going to,
thought, no?
it is a scary thought.
It's a
Siguro
scary thought.
if you ask me this and, hey mates, we're in Australia right now and the cinemas are gonna open tomorrow. Hey, great! The government is very good. They'll take care of us for sure. Yun, pwede yun, di ba? O pare, magbubukas na daw ang sinehan bukas. Patay kang bata ka. Maganda ka, mag-ipon ka ng pera pang hospital, ha? Yun ang
Correct.
sasabihin ko.
Correct. I'm actually looking. I it's a scary thought for me. The cinemas opening and other venue. They're opening video arcades. They're opening museums. I believe in museums because at least museums you can control
More or less.
more or less. But then a
The-
cinema or a video arcade is that's all ages already. So if you're opening video arcade, it means you're gonna allow children to go to the malls now. So already right there's a danger because
There's
it's very
already
hard.
danger na.
It's very hard to control children. I am actually excited for it because of the opportunities it gives me as a safety officer. I am currently making headway into consulting for the Makati cinemas in terms of creating safety protocols and enforcing. There's an enforcement, not just guidelines, because if you put a sign for guidelines for people, then it can
Nobody
be ignored.
reads. Yeah, nobody reads.
But then you are basically training your ushers, and there will be active ushers enforcing these rules. Now, the main problem that we're coming up against is the face shield rule. Because to go into a mall, you need to wear a face shield. How are you going to watch a movie that you're paying a lot for, right? Because movie tickets are not 23 pesos anymore. Naabutan ko ba 17 pesos pa yung mga sinehan before, and you can watch all day. There, I'm carbon dating myself, right? But you can watch all day. You don't even have to leave after one showing. But now that you're paying a lot for a movie, and the screens now are and the sound system, they've all been upgraded to provide you the best
Correct.
cinematic experience, and a 5 peso face shield is going to ruin it for you.
No, well, I would go in with a face shield and imagine ko, nanonood ako kasama ko si Aquaman. Kasi mukha tayo nasa, di ba? Aquarium. So sasabihin ko na lang, katabi ko siya. Ma-enjoy ko to. So, no, but you know what? We're the only country that's being required to wear a face shield. Most of the
Yes.
people who've actually, aren't just masks. So, there are good sides and bad sides of that. I understand, kailangan natin face shield kasi may maraming tanga pa rin sa labas. I'm sorry, I'm not going to censor myself at this point. Who
No, go
think
for
that
it.
they are better than everybody else, who think they're not sick because they don't feel anything, and
Yes.
they don't care about other people's safety. So that becomes a safety shield for us. However, the problem becomes very deep on a cultural, societal level we're in. Oh my God, when did the Filipinos become less careful, less mindful,
Less considerate.
less considerate?
Yeah.
Kasi kaya when people say, "Oh my God, I'm proud to be in the Philippines," kasi we're so hospitable. Talaga, we are. What about the less considerate part? What about the pinakamayabang part? What about the kahit walang pera, magpiesta tayo? People kill me because they think I'm a party pooper. But tama na yun, pa-feel good ng lahat ng tao when you paint reality in such a different color
Yeah.
that it actually people think that it's the truth. So wag na tayong magplastikan. The reason why nandito pa rin tayo sa ganito and we have 1,000 plus every day.
Yes.
Imagine we have like no, let's be clear. We have 2,000 plus cases every day. And we are gung ho to open movie houses. Yet if you go to Australia and they have 3 cases, they close everything down. Sabi
Yes.
ko, where's the logic in that? I mean, sige, mayaman ng Australia, kailangan natin kumita. Sige, I agree. But please, let's be mindful of other people naman. Kawawa naman yung mga ibang tao.
I understand the need for restarting the economy in doing all this, because definitely that is, that's gonna bring back jobs for people, and people will
Kailangan,
be able to
oo.
earn, and that's a necessity, because if your option is, and this happened early in the pandemic also, is your option is to stay home and starve, or go out and try to find work
Try to find
and
food.
risk.
Then, yeah,
Then of course, you know what we're going to choose as basic human beings, diba? But then
correct.
in this this far in, it's almost been a year into the pandemic, and people are still not wearing their masks properly. Then there's something
Wrong
basically
with
wrong.
us.
Yes, there's something
Happy
basically
anniversary
wrong.
nga pala, malapit na ang March.
Oh,
Mag-1 year na
yeah.
tayo.
Mag-go 1 year na tayo. And
Happy.
I mean, and all these romanticized views of the Filipino is so resilient.
Ay
Yes,
nako,
we
please.
yes, we
I
are
was one of
resilient,
those
but my God.
Anong resilient? Hindi nyo nga alam ang spelling. Hindi nalagay nyo pa sa post nyo. Cut and paste lang kayo ng cut and paste. Hindi naman alam ko ano ibig sabihin ng resilient. Resilient po, pag nag-iisip sila and they try to survive despite the odds, then that's resilient. Pero yung pag sinabi yung bobo ka tapos nakasurvive ka lang by some sheer accident of fate, hindi ko resilient yun. Chamba ang tawag doon. Mas madali pa spell. Chamba. 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 Resilient. Spell.
Chamba.
I don't even want to spell resilient. Baka magkamali pa ako.
But
Oh
I
my
mean, with
God.
the opening of the cinema, I mean, like, we have to find a way to get back. And I'm a firm believer in terms of like trying to bring back, like, we consult with the national live events to find a safe way of bringing back theater, and and live concerts, etc., etc. But it really will start from your basic man on the street wearing his face mask properly, because every day that I go out, whether it be to go downstairs to my lobby, or to go to the grocery, or to go to mini stamp, for example,
Ako rin, di ba?
without fail, I see
There is
somebody
always one person
with their
whose
mask
mask is
down.
in the nose.
Yes.
Hindi ho yan chin guard. Mask po
Yeah.
tayo yan. Okay?
Yes.
So no,
You
but
know.
there's so many theories or reasons why people do this. But I'll tell you one thing. You grew up with your parents, so your parents from the very beginning instilled certain things on you. Na tipo bang you respect women because that's a no brainer. You respect your parents. That's a no brainer. And then if you instill these things, it grows on you. The problem with today's Filipino, wag ng society, Filipino culture in the Philippines is that nagkakanya-kanya na tayo. It's all about survival without passing on the important things to the next generation. So, with that saying, there are no parent figures, leaders, managers who will say, kasi nga, it happened to me in 7-Eleven, nakalagay, bawal po ang pumasok na hindi naka-face mask at hindi naka-face shield. Pero may pumasok pa rin. So sabi ko, kala ko ho ba, and I said it aloud in the middle of 7, kala ko ba bawal
Yeah.
pumasok na hindi naka-facial, naka-face mask? Sumagot pa yung tao. Kasi yung sa Makati, walang COVID. Ay, ang ganda Sabi ko, anong planet ho tayo? Anong dimension ho yan? Kasi sama na ako sa inyo. And then, I talked to the manager of that 7-Eleven at sabi ng, sir, wala kaming magawa eh. So there is no, I've talked to people and government and non-government, it's always there is a lack of passing on information,
Yes.
training. Basta
and
pwede
and
na yan.
and the lack of enforcement, simply because,
Enforcement.
like nahihiya, like, it's funny that when I make sit up people who are not wearing masks, and not just as my job as a safety officer, because I'm hired to do that in events, or in a shoot or something, but in casual everyday life, when I'm in an elevator and somebody, I have actually encountered people who are trying to get in without a mask, and they're covering their face with their mouth because they're aware they're not wearing a mask. And I said, look, we're still on your
So,
floor. Your apartment is right there. Why don't you just wait for the next elevator, go back to your apartment, get your mask?
tama.
And sila pa yung galit when you make sita.
Oo.
And I guess it's the culture of like, no, I don't want to be the bad cop. I don't want to be the asshole. I don't want to be the jerk. And I'm like, if it directly affects the safety of your life, then by all
They don't
means.
think They don't think it's gonna affect them. So wala silang sense of, how Filipinos have no sense of private space. Diba? Minsan
Yes.
may lalapit sa'yo, nagmamadali ho kayo, nasa pila ka. Sandali, no? Yan po ang footsteps na sticker nandun sa sahig.
Yes.
Ito po yung susunod. Ay, sorry, hindi ko nakita. Girl, kita mo may pila, hindi mo nakita? Ano ka, tanga? Kasi ganun lang kasimple yung sagot doon eh. O, number
Yeah.
one. Number two, there is no sense of accountability in the Philippines.
Yes.
None whatsoever.
That is true. I agree with that.
So, if somebody actually will get punished correctly, not because there's power, not because we can abuse another person, but a real sense of accountability. Kasalanan ho nyo, bakit naman kailangan So, when people see that there is an example being I mean a good example hindi katulad ng mga TV series na ginagamit scapegoat or kawawa naman. I mean, you've seen it in Facebook,
Yeah.
nakulong ang isang mahirap dahil hindi siya naka-face mask. Pero isang mayaman na, I don't want to go there, but hindi naka-face mask. I just want to apologize to the public.
Oo, tapos okay na.
Then okay na. Di tuturuan ko rin yung kawawa naman yung mahirap. Sasabihin ko, halika, i-Englishin natin yan with a Lea Salonga accent. I'd like to say my apologies. Nako, Diyos ko dahil. You don't want me to go into that.
But that's true. It's accountability
Accountability.
and
Very
good examples.
important.
And good examples.
And good examples of
It
accountability.
took me a long time to realize how important a good example was. In the sense where, when I was being the most pasaway early in my career, right, and I was taking things for granted, and I didn't, give a shit what people thought. Um, it was always, until my sister sat me down and told me, look, Jamie, I can't have one set of rules for you and another set of rules for everybody else. It's one set of rules for all or no rules at all.
At all.
And I was
May
like,
kailangan.
you know what? That makes so much sense because we are all trying to be the exception. Those
Always.
things will apply to everybody except for me. We
Naku,
are always trying to find
kasi
that
may
way out.
Hindi, may nagsabi niyan sa may nagsabi, you have to be the exception. So lahat ng tao gusto maging exception. You
Yeah.
have to stand out. Lahat tuloy gusto maging stand out. Nobody wants to follow rules. Wala na, sabi ko. Patay na tayo dyan.
Yeah, and then without an idea of like it's about what you can get away with instead of thinking about the greater good. Like if you go back into, for example, when this vaccine rolls out, we still have to wear masks. We still have to wear,
Yes.
PPEs. We still have to still disinfect our hands until, months into it or even years into it that there are no cases coming up and every day. And that's what a lot of people are not thinking about now because parang, I've survived this long. I can get away with like wearing my mask down at my chin. Kasi hinihintay ko lang naman yung vaccine at pag na-vaccinate na ako, di okay na ako.
Hindi ba
Which is
yun
not
nga
the way it works.
yun yung perception ng tao. Pag naka-vaccine na daw sila, tawag dito, magiging okay na sila na hindi magsuot ng mask. Hindi po totoo yun. You still have to wear your mask.
Yes. It's funny with even this advent of testing now that the antigen tests have become, commercially available. Their prices are now friendlier with the antigen tests, right? When people get tested, they think, "Oh my God, I can hug you, I can kiss you, I don't have to wear a mask," and all that. It's like you still have to follow the protocols, and it goes back to that sense of entitlement. that
Correct.
lack of accountability, and really good examples. And that's why, when I realized that I was becoming a bad example, nobody really wants to become a bad example. I was just trying to get away with as much as I could
Away.
get away with. I
Okay,
did not
okay.
realize that people were watching me, or I was, in somebody's consciousness and saying, basically, if Jamie can get away with that, I should be able to get away with it.
And it's the
And
same with
so
the common people. Yeah.
when I started changing the way I think, and I'm glad that I was, a bad example in the past, and I was actually enlightened enough to actually think, oh no, I can serve as a cautionary tale, or you can become the good example. Because the cautionary tale would be, oh, you'll never get hired again. Tapos
Oo
ka na.
nga. Tapos ka
Which
na.
happened to me. There were years in the theater industry where nobody would touch me with a 10-foot pole simply because I was so pasaway. I was very
Really?
difficult to work with. Oh yeah.
Oh, I never
Yeah.
experienced that with you. So I
I had
was
to get a day job. I had to go into the corporate world where nobody knew me, and I had to prove myself again. And that's basically when you have survived this long, I suppose, and have continued working, you sort of become an example to all the people who want to come in and see how you do it. And I keep on telling them, don't follow what I did, because I'm lucky to have gone back. I had to fight my way back and
back. Yeah,
prove
it's
myself
never.
again.
Yeah, but it's
You know,
never easy. I mean, we all have different, paths, and sometimes, I may sound like, I'm so happy and this and that, but sometimes the people who are the loudest and the bravest actually are the ones who fight more about their weaknesses. So
yes,
that says a lot. So, opo mga kaibigan, kung meron ho kayong papakuha ng picture sa akin, ganun ka, ganun, no? Segue! No, but
segue.
seriously, we, kaya nga, when you're in a situation like this, hindi naman, it's sabi nga ng iba, it equates to buti nga hindi tayo nagka-world war, they were saying, is because
Yes,
at least the destruction is not as bad as it's supposed to be, people are saying. So at least ito, kung hindi ka lang pasaway, you'll survive the ano, di ba? Ganun na
yeah.
kadali.
Now is not the time to be a pasaway. You
Yeah,
know.
now's
All
not the
right, so
time.
Raymond, I mean, this has been a very wisdom filled conversation. I'm going to start examining my 3 year cycles and my 5 year
Three,
cycles,
3, 5, 7. Oh.
three,
You can
five,
go
and
backwards
seven.
muna para at least so you know which one works. 3 years
Yes,
pala. The important things in my life happen every 3 years. O yun. So, ganun. Sometimes, some people
yeah.
kasi may 5 years or 7 pa eh.
Uh-oh.
So, yun.
I think with me it's three. It's funny looking back now, but that's for another conversation.
That's another
All right.
Opo, meron kaming another episode, the Manghuhula portion. Don't forget, I do readings also in my private time. Message me in Facebook. Ang pangit to talagang lahat pinasok. Ano?
Okay,
I
so
do not
Raymond.
I do not design clothes also. Yun, para at least malinaw. Yun lang hindi ko ginagawa. I don't design clothes. Okay, you were gonna ask questions. Hala
Okay,
ka, ang
no,
haba
okay.
na
So
nito.
we're going to go into the rundown.
All
All
right.
right, the rundown is a series of 10 quick questions, and then just say what the first thing that comes to mind.
Okay,
All
Tito
right, with
Boy,
these
go
questions.
ahead.
Okay. It's the second time I've been called Tito Boy on this show. Oh my god. I
Tito
actually want to
Jamie?
inter.
Okay,
I
Tito
actually,
Jamie.
I
Oh
actually
my
want to
God.
interview. I want to interview him. Actually, let's
Nako,
let's
that you
let's
need to
put
prepare
that.
for a longer time kasi isa pa yan madadaka tulad ko. Anyway, go for it.
Okay, question number one, Raymond. What
Okay.
is your favorite word?
My favorite word, oh my God, it's hard to say on the air. Pek or putang ina. I always say, sorry. Kasi you ask me, I always say when I got the shot, I always say, oh my God, pek. Ay, putang ina yan. That's it. Don't mo, tang ina mo, huwag ka gagalaw. Papatayin kita pag gumalaw ka. Because you got it. I'm sure you heard me say that.
Yes, I've
You know,
heard you say it
so,
many times.
kaya when people say, nagmura na siya, we got the job already. Tama na yan. So yun. So that's a sign that they can relax. Kasi they
Yes.
wait for me to say one curse word. If I don't say it, parang no, there's something happening. He's
Oh,
thinking
there's
about
something wrong.
something.
There's
Yeah, there's
something wrong.
something wrong. There's
Oh.
something wrong. So there.
Okay, what is your least favorite word?
Cancelled shoot or pengi ng discount kahit hindi pa humihingi ng price.
Inuunahan ka,
Oo,
discount ka agad, hindi ka pa nag-quote.
Uy, magkano ba ang pa-shoot natin kung ganito? Uy, bigyan mo naman ako ng discount. Teka, wala pang ang presyo, may discount ka na kagad. Ano ba? Hangin, bibigyan mo ng discount yung hangin. Ano ba? Sus kulay.
Okay, question number three. Raymond, what turns you on?
things people might not even think about, or things that people that don't turn people on. Dami yan ha, kasi uh, some things are left to the personal side naman. Oh, ganun.
Uh,
Okay, 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 okay. Next,
what turns you off?
what turns me off? Things that most of the normal people think turn them on.
Ganda ng mga sagot.
True. Sometimes, what? That turns you on? What the hell were you thinking? Ano ka? Normal ka ba? Parang, okay. But then again, I'm a different person. I'm retarded. What can you do? Okay. I'm
Okay.
special.
Okay, next question. What sound or noise do you love?
That's easy. I love the beach. Oh, waves crashing on the shore,
Mm,
birds in the morning, and the snoring of somebody that you love. To know that they're
yeah.
alive and present beside you. Kasi
Oh,
pag
how nice.
tumigil yung snoring, parang, are you still breathing? So, ganun yun. May fear akong gano'n kasi when my mother died, parang, are you okay? Are you still there? So now it's like, when I don't hear somebody breathing or snoring, parang, I kid you not, I would put my put my hand or finger on the nose and see if I can feel a breath or something.
Okay, what sound or noise do you hate?
Chismosang kapitbahay namin na kumakanta ng karaoke up to now.
And
I
what does this kapitbahay sing?
Oh my God. All by myself. Ako
Oh
naman
my
bubuksan ko yung
God.
bintana. Kaya ka nag-iisi! Tumigil ka kaya! All by myself. Eh talaga mag-iisa ka. Diyos ko. I'm not
Okay.
kidding. Meron siya sari-sari store. Anyway, next.
Okay, what is your favorite shower song? What song do you sing in the shower? And we
Oh,
all sing
we
in the
we
shower.
all sing, but my, you know me, my personality, multiple personality disorder ako. So at the moment it's Love to Love You Baby by Donna Summer, but not the original, the 2013 version, Chris Cox remix, ginawang
Ooh,
modern. So you can find it in Spotify, the new version of Donna Summer's.
love to love you,
Habang
baby.
naliligo ka, can you imagine?
Oh,
Love to love you, baby. It's called self-love. Okay, next.
I like that. I'm gonna check that. I'm gonna put that on my playlist. I like that.
Diba? In the morning, kaya nga po, my partner says, Hoy! Anong ginagawa mo dyan? Donna Summer.
Okay. All right. What habit or behavior annoys you the most?
Oh my God. The Filipinos, ugali sa, pwede na yan. Okay
Mm,
na yan. Wag na, anong pwede na yan? Wag mo nang anuhin yan kasi i-photoshop na lang natin, or pwede na yan, walang makakalata. Oh my God, you guys are being paid. How can you move and forward and improve yourself kung pwede na yan is a common ugali that you can't get rid of. So,
all right. That I hate the same thing. The pwede na is like, ay, come on. We can do better than this.
you can do better than that.
Yes.
Sayang naman ang sinabi nyo na the best singers in the world are Filipinos. Eh, di galingon nyo. So, di
Oo,
ba?
correct.
Mga
Correct.
claim, mga claim to fame natin. Oh.
Okay, Raymond, if you could collaborate with any artist, living or dead, who would that be?
I love the mind and vision of Salvador Dali,
Mm,
painter, photographer, and videographer. He was
yeah.
also a graphic artist. So sabi ko, oh my God, you could do all of this, sabi ko. And then he was also an architect, so sculpture pa. So
Yeah.
galing niya. For me, top of the head. And then modern one, si Keith Haring. Because I'm in
Mm.
love with the Uniqlo designs up to now. And that was my genre. Plinag talaga Uniqlo. Oh. May bayad ba sila dito? Magpadala naman kayo ng t-shirt para sa offshore para meron naman
No,
silang pamigay, di ba?
I love Keith Haring because when I was living in New York, he was actually starting his graffiti
Wait,
attack
you were
on.
there?
Yeah, I was there.
Oh
We
my
would
God, you
see
are so lucky.
full murals on because I lived in the Lower East Side, and that's before it was gentrified, no, before it
Oo,
became
nung hindi
upscale.
pa pinaganda ang New York.
Oh, so Alphabet City and all that, and I would walk through, like, for example, playgrounds,
Wait, how
and
old were you then?
you would have full murals.
Murals. Oh.
Oh,
They
I was
would
in
they
my
would take
teens.
down the walls, and then we saw an exhibit in Milan. They literally tore down the wall where the mural was, and they preserved that wall. So,
Wow.
and Siyempre, mayaman ng Italy, no? Nadala nila yung wall sa Milan. Sabi ko, wow! I'm like, ang galing nyo, ha? So, yun.
Galing.
And
Yeah,
then,
he's a fantastic artist.
I love him. And then some music, it's off my head right now. It's Carol King because
Mm,
it's more music that I grew up with. So I love her narrations.
yes.
I don't know if the musical we saw, Beautiful, is an accurate story of her life, but it was very interesting for me, and I'm interested in that kind of genre, kasi also.
Well, apparently the musical Beautiful is accurate because she's very hands on. And
Oh,
she was very hands on in terms of not only the creation, but every production of Beautiful, the casting has to go through her. So basically, she
really?
approved me when I played her manager. She approved Kayla. She approved. So imagine our
Wow.
pictures, and this we found this out like midway through the run already, where our director Bobby Garcia was telling us, Carol, Carol, parang first name basis.
First name basis.
Carol,
Friends sila, friends, close sila.
Carol,
Oh.
oh, friends sila. Syempre kasi may correspondence kasi director siya tsaka producer. Carol chose all of you. And we were like, what do you mean? Like we sent your audition tapes. We sent your headshots. We sent your biodatas and your resumes, and she had to
Oh.
approve all of you. And I'm like, oh my god, she chose me to play her manager. That's awesome.
No, yeah, some people don't understand because if you're like us, theater based, and I was an actor once, and then to be just connected to somebody who's, famous or a celebrity, it gives us this, sense of, I don't know, it's hard to describe. In fact, when I was younger, I said, one day I'm gonna go up the stage and accept my first Tony. And then Lea Salonga did. Yun, masaya na ako. Sabi ko,
Oh,
putik,
we're represented.
we represented na po tayo. May Lea Salonga na umakyat. And that's exactly what she said, When I was a kid watching the Tonys, I'm like, yeah, that's what exactly I'll say when, Siyempre, ano pa, how far, wala na, matanda na ako, wala na yung, no, the dream of being in Broadway is far long and gone, so.
Well,
Audience na lang.
you never know. You never know because Eli Bundia wants to hire you for, sign
It's
you to
true.
offshore.
Oo nga. Baka the next musical of Eddie Buendia, pwede ako at least, I can
Yun.
play something. Kahit walkthrough lang, pwede na yun sa akin.
'Di ba? It's so much fun. Eh. Okay, so okay, next question.
Ay,
Raymond, when you get to heaven, and that's going to be a long time from now, but when you get to heaven, what do you want God to say to you?
good job. Good job, Raymond.
Nice, nice, nice.
But
Yes.
I'm afraid of the next question.
Hindi naman, hindi naman.
No, I'm
Okay.
afraid. I'm really afraid. The first thing I imagine is that he'll say, "Good job, Raymond. Good job," and then biglang, wait. I have another question. Did you ever lie in your life?
Oh,
I can't answer po.
well, I always expected that, if I ever do get to heaven and God, sees me, he's gonna say, Jamie, let me check lang if you're on the list, ah. I'm not sure, eh.
No.
That's gonna be the
Tandaan mo,
first.
I don't believe that. I seriously don't believe that a person is bad or good. We play different roles that we were meant to be. So sometimes we can be bad because it will push. There cannot be good and bad, or there can't only be good. There can't only be the two have to exist because they have to support each other. So there
Yes,
is
they
there is no
fulfill a
such
function.
thing.
Yes,
There is a
true.
function. So yun.
Okay, one for the
Hoy,
road. One question for the road. Oh, no.
okay. Kala ko
Ano pa?
pastor na tayo. Kala ko nagsisharing na tayo. Nag-God na
Oh,
tayo.
kala ko may ano ka eh. May chismis
Epis
ka bigla.
hindi, episode. That's another also episode, mga blind
That's
items
another
po. Mga
episode.
artista ho na pwede natin pag-usapan after. Go. One for the
Okay, so
road.
one for the road. What words of wisdom or advice would you give to anyone just starting out in the arts now?
I'd like to thank the judges for this opportunity. Putik, ang hirap ng question mo, ha? This is the part when I say, before the show ends, I'd like to thank everybody who stayed with us for 2 hours and for bearing with me and all my stupidity. But the question was, what words of wisdom would you give a starting artist, correct?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. The road, ladies and gentlemen, the road to being a good artist does not depend on fame, wealth, or apps. It is a long road of processing, failures, and standing up again to express that passion within. But one must be aware that talent is indeed only 10%. 90% of successful artists are actually hard workers. I thank you. Sabi mo, last question na yun, di ba? Baka pag
Galing.
hindi pa ako, pag hindi pa ako nanalo, ewan ko na. Ha? Pero
That
totoo,
deserves an award.
hindi, pero totoo yan. I've had
Mm.
so many assistants who are so talented, who are so much better than I am. And they failed immensely because they were tamad. They came from rich families na, ay, sige, magaling ako, mas magaling ako kay Raymond. So I won't make an effort kasi magaling na ako.
Yeah.
But if you don't work it, girl, it's not
Yeah.
gonna happen.
Talent only goes so far. You got to put in the
Yes.
work.
It'll put you in your foot in the door. But you
Yes.
need to work your way up that ladder pa rin kahit pa paano.
Yes. Oh, ito, last call. Last call.
Dami naman last yan. Oh.
Oo, di ba? Oh. What would you want to be most remembered for?
That's a trick question. I I don't want to be remembered as just a photography. I don't want to be
Yes.
remembered as a
Yeah.
stupid guy on live streaming. The risk of sounding like a beauty queen again. I do when I was younger. I somebody told me once you change another person's life for the better, you've done your part. Kaya lang I'm afraid to say it. Kasi pag narinig ni God, you've done your part, come back home, takot ako doon. So,
Wag muna, wag muna, wag
kaya
muna.
ayoko muna. But, I want to be remembered at least I've contributed to somebody's life for being better, or I pushed somebody to become an artist, or I made somebody less anxious. Mga ganun tipo. That's the way I want to be remembered. Not as a famous photographer. That's just a job, seriously.
Yes.
I want to be remembered as a person, mostly.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much, Raymond. We've had like couple of hours of
This is
chikahan,
long. You think
and we
somebody's gonna
have
listen to us?
well, I'm listening to you, and I think it's
Thank you.
fantastic because I've just learned so much from you, and I think moving forward, I will come by and borrow comics from you soon, and we can work on our blind item episode for the
Actually,
future.
bakit hindi? Teka na,
Why not?
ubusan na
Di
ako,
ba?
magbubukas na ako.
Well, okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much, Raymond, for taking the time.
Thank you,
Thank you
guys.
for
Thank you.
your candid answers, your beauty queen answers, and your very valuable insights into life and the arts and your passion. So,
Parang
thank you
hindi
so
ako bagay
thank
sa
you so
show
much.
mo. Lalaking-lalaki yung show mo, tapos kantay.
Thank you so much. Cheers
Thank you, Jamie
and
Wilson.
all my love to you. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Raymond Isaac.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Ed
you.
Buendia. Thank you, Audrey. And I'd
Cheers.
like to cheers. May tomorrow be a perfect day. Oh, this is when you actually, mute me.
No, no. Oh man, I wanted to see if you was gonna continue the music. See, that was a fantastic, conversation with somebody who has very unique opinions, very unique insights, and who is not afraid to say it. So going back to what he said, not only this talent gets your foot in the door, but you got to put in the work, but also authenticity and being a good example, accountability. These are things that are very important. And of course, having crazy ideas. Don't go where everybody else is going. You have to stand out somehow with your art. And of course, now is not the time to be pasaway. So thank you so much, Raymond Isaac. That was wonderful. So I hope you enjoyed tonight's episode. Just a few reminders, guys. All right, from Offshore Music, Elisa Marie just released a new single called "Why Can't I Just Like No One" with a new music video too. So check out the Offshore YouTube page if you want to check out the music video. And of course, it's available on all digital streaming platforms. Suspiria Pink also released their song called "High." And it's available on all streaming platforms. And their new music video is out. If you have seen it, yes, that's me asking the Suspiria Pink Boys very inappropriate questions. And I highly enjoyed myself in that shoot. Also, Offshore Music will be releasing the Apartel Full Flood album on vinyl. It's a 2 LP half-speed mastering by Miles Showell from Abbey Road. Miles Showell worked with artists such as Queen, the Rolling Stones, and of course, the Beatles. And guys, it's from Abbey Road. So man, I'm waiting in line for this. It'll be available on February 22. Offshore Music released a list of record store partners who are officially resellers. So you can pre-order a copy there. Also, Pinkman's new song "Historical" is now available on all digital streaming platforms. It's a mind blowing song. It's an amazing song. So, guys, be sure to check it out. "Historical" by Pinkman. And of course, keep on streaming June Lupito's new album "Body 3 NMRK." It's a classic piece of work for Pinoy rock icon. The album is kicking ass, and please continue to support original Filipino music and new bands who are releasing their music out. Be sure also to check out Sulo's two singles. And they're going to be releasing a full length album. They're in the process of writing and recording a full length album as well. So just be sure to keep on supporting our local music. I'd like to say thank you so much to Buenos Dias Panaderia for my Milo donuts. I can't wait to dig into them because really every bite is happiness. Thank you so much to the Misty Mountain Cafe for your Cordillera Gold blend. It's such good coffee, guys. It's really such good coffee, and they're a perfect pairing. Milo buns, Cordillera Gold. It's amazing. And of course, from Liquor.PH, just a few reminders. This February, you can get 25% off when you buy any two bottles of your favorite gins in February. They've put together a special collection for everyone who's experimenting with their gin and tonics and martinis to enjoy at home. Use the promo code GIN25 off. That's GIN 25 OFF, all caps, upon checkout to avail this discount. You can check out liquor.ph and start picking your bottles. Now, next week, we've got two special guests. We've got a journalist turned singer songwriter. Her name is Sally Edwards, and it's going to be very exciting for us to. She never thought she'd be a musician, but during the pandemic, once again, with enough time on her hands, she decided to write some songs and release it. So check it out. We're going to have Sally Edwards on the show, and of course, the bad boys of the blues rock scene, the Blue Jean Junkies. So it's going to be an amazing show, full of insights and valuable wisdom, and of course, the usual insanity that goes on during our show. So make sure to tune into On the Rocks, same bat time, same bat channel. So, ladies and gentlemen, I am Jamie Wilson, reminding you to stay safe, stay strong, and stay sane. So keep on rocking, keep on rolling, and if all else fails, let the music keep you going. And if life has gotten you shaken or stirred, a little mixed up or on the rocks, what matters most is that you take your shot. So, ladies and gentlemen, cheers, thank you very much, and good night.